Part 50. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 498. Speaking of which, ever since I met Julie Yulai, I rarely saw her truly resting. Studying, sports, student unions, clubs, even beauty and housework abilities are all top 10 efforts. When she was running with Ruri in the past, Sakakihara discovered that she would wear headphones when running in sportswear, and what was played in the headphones was all English foreign news for listening practice. Liulai and Kyo are certainly geniuses. However, behind the talented girls, Sakakihara Raku believes that this is their persistent efforts day after day. Lejun, has your belly gotten a little bigger recently? One afternoon, Raku Sakakibara, who was delayed in returning home due to school matters, met Kururi Amamai, who had just finished running downstairs in the apartment in front of her home. "You're pregnant? Are you pregnant?" Amamai Kururi, who was wearing a high ponytail, put her hands behind her hands, opened her eyes and looked at Sakakibara Raku's belly that took the initiative to lift the clothes, and nodded, "Yeah, it's a little bigger, and the abdominal muscle line is not as clear as before." Sakakibara stared at his belly in silence for 2 seconds. "Luli, do you care about this?" After noticing Sakakibara Raku's expression, Amamai Kururi seemed to realize something, and immediately waved his hand and explained, No, Raku-kun, don't pay too much attention to what I said. Raku-kun is not busy at the company in July during this time. I'm just busy taking care of everyone, and now that school has started I'm busy catching up on my studies, so it's normal for my belly to be a little bigger." "Liulai, what you said seems to be more hurtful, okay?" Raku Sakakihara is very concerned about his belly. It looks a little fat now and his abdominal muscles have lost their lines. Although this was not a serious problem, he did not want to turn into a middle-aged man with a big belly under the age of 20. Take a look at Liulai's thin and soft arms next to you, and take a look at Liulai's sweet and soft girlish smile. She has just finished running. She has a high ponytail, a fresh sports vest, and a big belly. She is completely incompatible, isn't she? Sakakihara Raku didn't want to go shopping with Liulai in the future, and Liulai would be misunderstood by passers-by that she dressed so glamorously because she was a wealthy person. He didn't care about other people's comments, but he couldn't stand other people's slanderous comments about Liulai. "Maybe it's because I haven't exercised for a long time. Did I say something wrong?" "No," Raku Sakakibara pinched the flesh on his belly and replied with a sigh, "This is my own problem. Ruri still insists on exercising to a certain extent every day, but I have forgotten about it now. Ruri aren't you going to fall in love with my belly now?" Tian Haijuli Yulai looked confused. "What are you talking about, Lejun? Didn't Liulai like my abdominal muscles very much before? She would secretly put her hands on them while I was sleeping at night." Seeing Amamai Kururi's stunned expression, Sakakihara laughed heartily. "Luli doesn't think I didn't notice, does he? What Li Jun said is not the truth. When did Ruri-chan learn to be tough-tongued in chi?" Sakakihara Raku also understood that she had told Ruri the extremely embarrassing fact. Although Ruri was very good at taking care of herself in terms of close contact, she would not talk about such topics at all in daily contact. She never makes dirty jokes or anything like that. She is a very conservative girl. To talk about why Liulai is willing to do those things for herself, according to Kyo's words, it is, "If you didn't like that, do you think my sister would be very willing?" Hearing what Chi-Chi said, Sakakibara felt even more sorry for Ruri. "I want to hold her in my arms and ask her, why do you do so much for me?" Sakakihara Raku could already imagine Ruri's reply when she was in her arms. She would probably answer something like, "Because I like Raku-jun very much, because Raku-jun is very good to me, because Raku-jun loves me very much, so it's worth it," something like that. These words sounded very boring, but when Liulai said them while lying in her arms, they were so sweet that her mouth was full of honey. Lejun? Hello, is Lejun okay? Of course, in the current view of Amamai Kurayuri, Sakakibara Raku was inexplicably falling into a giggle. She would never have imagined that even though his girlfriend was right in front of him, he could still be immersed in the sweetness of his imagination. Ellie June. Yeah, I'm here, I'm here. Lejun is really smiling. I'm really worried that something will happen to you. Alzheimer's disease. This is a disease that people only worry about after the age of 80. Sakakibara looked at his little girlfriend's worried face, and suddenly wanted to hug her and kiss her, and wanted to tell her with practical actions how cute she was in his eyes at this time. He reached out to hug her, but she refused, and then he suddenly realized that he was outdoors. Lejun wants to be hugged every day. Well, cough, Liulai just reminded me that I should pay attention to exercise in the near future. Big belly problem. It's a problem with my abdominal muscles. I'm afraid that if I lose my abdominal muscles, Liulai won't love me that much. What are you talking about? What I like is not just Lejun's belly. That's not what Liulai likes. Amamai Jurulai seemed to realize something, became angry, and hit Sakakibara Raku's arm a little. You are not allowed to think wildly. I didn't say anything. It's obviously Liulai who thinks about things on your own. Beat you. What, it's not Liulai, you. Hit you, beat you, beat you. Sakakibara smiled lightly, and when he saw that Liulai was really angry, he said seriously. Speaking of which, Liulai will always be a little disappointed when her abdominal muscles are gone and she suddenly loses a place where she can sneak around at night, isn't she? No. Liulai's anger was fake. Even if she is really angry, if she goes up to her and coaxes her a little shamelessly, she will not be unhappy. It is precisely because of this that Sakakibara Raku always felt that Ruri loved him very much. The kind of love that doesn't care what you do. This made Sakakibara Raku want to take her thoughts into account. There was no doubt that Ruri was being tough. Sakakibara still remembered that when she came out of the shower, she would sneak a glance at her belly when she had nothing to do. Therefore, in order to lose the belly fat accumulated in the past few months, Sakakibara and Ruri proposed to exercise together. Ruri didn't have any objections to this matter, but just returned to the past, so he happily accepted it. In the next few days, in addition to maintaining daily life, every afternoon when Raku Sakakibara comes home from school, he and Kururi Amamai go out for a run. 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers, 9 kilometers. While running, it is easy to feel that your physical fitness is gradually recovering. Most people rarely achieve results after losing weight and building abdominal muscles within a month or two, but Sakakibara Raku is different. He was someone who had practiced training before, but now that he had started exercising again, he was just brushing off the fat. So it took just 1 week to see the effect. This afternoon he and Liulai also planned to challenge a 20-kilometer long-distance run. They would finish it in 1 hour and 10 minutes, which was considered a marathon. Setting off at 5:30 in the afternoon, running along the streets around the city line of the port area, Liulai returned to the apartment downstairs at 6:54. After waiting here panting for about 7 or 8 minutes, Raku Sakakibara also ran back wearing sneakers. Liulai saw that his steps were sloppy, and seeing that the situation was not good, he quickly stepped forward to support him. Liulai could see the sweat staining his hair, and could also hear his violent breathing. Is Lejun okay? Is 20 kilometers too long? No, it's okay. Sakakibara held his legs with both hands and refused Ruri's support. As I said, running should be done step by step. How can you climb from 10 kilometers back to 20 kilometers all at once? Sakakibara was so tired that his brain turned white. I haven't exercised for a long time, and my physical fitness is really weak. Unexpectedly, he is completely inferior to Li Yulai. Li Yulai. Li Yulai, you need to know that I saw you leading the race all the time and none of the girls said you were tired. How could I have the nerve to propose giving up? Lejun, don't be brave at this time. No matter how you say it, I am also Li Yulai's boyfriend. How can you admit defeat? Tianhaijuli Yulai puffed up her face. What do you mean by Lejun? Who said that a girlfriend can't protect her boyfriend? I will protect Lejun from now on. I also learned swordsmanship and other things before. Li Yulai has good physical strength and is tall. At least most of the boys on the street are not as tall as her. If it comes to actually starting a fight, she seems to be really good at it. When he thought about being protected by Ruri holding a wooden sword from now on, Sakaki Hararaku felt inexplicably want to laugh. Lejun doesn't believe it. No, I just feel that Li Yulai's physical ability is better than mine now, which is a bit incredible. Lejun just hasn't practiced for a long time, but I keep practicing every day. Especially during the time when I quarreled with Kyo, I went for a run whenever I had free time during that time. As for protecting Lejun really you can consider it? Luli wants me to eat soft rice. Isn't it good? Ruri, please give me some self-respect, Sakakihara said with a smile. Return to the apartment. I don't know if it's because I was exhausted from running just now, but my spirit has been a little sluggish. Seeing Sakakibara Raku looking like this, Amamikuruuri took care of him and let him rest on his lap after taking a bath. Sure enough, it would be great to have a girlfriend like Li Yulai. She would take care of herself when she felt uncomfortable, and she was willing to let herself rest on her soft thighs. However, because he failed to outrun Ruri today, Sakakibara was still quite concerned, because it meant that he could not even compare to Ruri in terms of physical fitness. Obviously he is still the brother, but she is the sister. Why would Lejun compare this kind of thing? Sakakibara closed his eyes and thought for a while on Amamikuruuri's thigh flesh. Men have inexplicable self-esteem. They always feel that they should not be compared to girls. Then we have to consider the objective facts. Lejun gave up training for too long because of other things, but I have been training all the time. That's what I say, but in my heart I still want to be stronger. The real reasons are probably multifaceted. From the beginning, Li Yulai was extremely dazzling in terms of her life experience, achievements, sports, and artistic talents. I can't compete with my background. I've evened my grades several times. I rely on cheats for my artistic ability. Only sports surpassed Li Yulai some time ago. It can be said that exercise is the only thing that I can really compare with Li Yulai. But now, due to several months of neglect, the huge gap of not being able to catch up with Li Yulai after practicing for a week is revealed in front of me, which is a bit hard to accept. Why compare? Sakakihara couldn't answer, and just leaned on his girlfriend's thigh. Tianhaijuli Yulai looked at his side face on her lap. Lejun doesn't need to compare with me now. As I said just now, it's not that Lejun is inferior to me, but that Lejun hasn't practiced for too long. I know that, but... Lejun Tianhaijuli Yulai interrupted him. Well, Li Yulai, tell me. Lejun thinks, what is the most important thing about a sport? Victory. Tianhaijuli Yulai shook his head. Victory is absolutely important, but it is definitely not the most important thing. What is more important than victory? I think there are more things, and hard work is included in it. Efforts are accumulated bit by bit, and strength is also accumulated bit by bit. No matter how talented a person is, there will be unimaginable efforts behind the scenes. A genius who studies well may have learned a lot from his childhood. The professor's parents have always been around him, and he has been reading his parents' papers since he was 5 years old. If a person is a strong runner, maybe the only happiness he has been exposed to since he was a child is running, and he has grown up running again and again. If victory is all that remains in a sport, without love, fairness, sweat, and other factors, it will only become a game for cheaters. I think the most valuable thing in sports, the most passionate thing, is fighting with all your strength, the feeling of doing everything possible to climb up. This feeling will not only make your opponents admire you, but also the audience will admire you. Move. Sakakihara laughed. What Ruri said is too ideal. I don't think what Ruri said is wrong, but the reality is that the audience will not care how hard the second place works. They can't see how hard he works. The reality is like this. But Lejun's efforts are right in front of me. I see it, and I also realize that it is precisely because of this that I feel sorry for Lejun. Luli is so outstanding. Don't say such things. Tianhaijuli Yulai pouted as he spoke, and reached out to poke the cheek of someone on his lap. Really, Lejun, don't be depressed just because you can't outrun me today. Lejun's failure now is only temporary. As long as Lejun is working hard and moving forward, he will be the best Lejun. If Lejun wants to continue to beat me, I was waiting for Lejun in front, silently watching him slowly climb up and surpass me. Don't you dislike me? Even though he knew her answer in his heart, Sakakihara still wanted to hear her say it herself. It's too late, Aile-kun. And why would you dislike Le-jun just because you can't compare to me now? The more Sakakibara listened to her words, the more he couldn't resist the smile on his face. He put his arms around the girl's waist and buried his face in her fragrant belly. I still want to hear it. What do you want to hear? Luli loves me. Aile-kun. I can't say what Lejun wants me to say now, but I still love you very much, Lejun. Luli touched my head and said. Is Lejun acting coquettishly? Luli. Stop shouting like that. Luli. Lejun, do you want me to call you good? Tianhaijuli Yulai stroked his head and intertwined his fingers in his hair. Okay, I'll just call you Ruri's mother. Sakakihara hugged her waist tighter, and his breath was filled with the fragrance of the girl who had just taken a bath. Tianhaijuli Yulai. Luli. Okay, Lejun, be good. I'll cook for you later. Luli. Is it a little weird for me to shout like this? I feel like I've been spoiled by you, Li Yulai, and become a useless person. It's a bit strange. Tianhaijuli Yulai continued to touch his head and smiled softly, but it feels good to pamper Lejun like this. I have always been pampered by Lejun like this before. Sakakihara enjoyed his girlfriend's gentle touch very much. What should this feeling be called? The motherly nature unique to girls. No way. I'm not married. But now Li Yulai feels like this. Come on, Li Yulai, pet me a little longer and touch me a little longer. Amamikuruuri looked at Sakakihara Raku on his lap, laughed softly, and continued to stroke his head. Yeah, well, Raku-kun, be good. By the way, I won't spoil you, Raku-kun, right? Then just spoil her. Li Yulai is so good anyway. When Tianhaijuli Yulai heard this, he couldn't help but smile again. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 499. The air in the corridor leading to the club building was dry and cold. Sakakibara walked through the corridor under the teaching building with his arms crossed, his mouth trembling, almost trembling. The windows of the teaching room were closed tightly, the students in the corridor were walking in a hurry, and the dead branches and leaves in the atrium were covered with frost. It was clearly the beginning of winter, but the scenery now seemed to be brown with a strong northern style. Raku Sakakihara touched his arms tremblingly, muttering, "It's so cold." He walked across the playground, arrived at the fourth floor of the club building, and pushed open the classroom of the literature club. "Hiss, it's so cold." The door to the literature department opened. As soon as I walked into the classroom, the warm air that was different from the cold air outside immediately enveloped my whole body. Sakakibara rubbed his shoulders up and down, his body almost subconsciously followed by trembling, and the sudden strong fragrance of tea. Tianhai Kaimingyu, wearing a scarf, was sitting in her fixed position. But to Sakakibara Raku's surprise, Ruri was here, holding a cup of hot tea. The aroma of tea probably came from her. Didn't Liuli go to the club? Today is Thursday. Amamai Kuruuri looked at Sakakibara Raku at the door of the club with a puzzled expression. Thursday? Ah, I forgot that the archery club is closed on Thursday. Tianhai Liuli noticed his movement of covering his arms. Why don't Lejun wear more clothes today? Are you just wearing a school uniform jacket? I didn't expect it to be so cold. I remember my sister had told someone a long time ago that it was almost the beginning of winter and to wear more clothes. Tianhai Chi Minjiao calmly flipped through the mystery novels on the table and used her chopsticks to pick up the Lay's potato chips on the side. As soon as he heard movement at the door, he said without looking back. Yes, Tianhai Liuli nodded in agreement. Raku Sakakihara sighed and approached the two twin girls, arguing, the beginning of winter is the beginning of winter. The beginning of winter in no other year is as outrageous as this year. It's not even November yet, but it's as cold as February. Tianhai Liuli held the teacup in both hands and looked at the ceiling, speaking of which, it is indeed hot and cold very early this year. I'm afraid it will snow again this year. Although it does snow in Tokyo, snow is rare in the Kanto region. Putting aside last year, Tokyo hasn't really snowed in 5 years. Even if the media reports that there is snow, there is no trace of it at all. In a daze, it's already November. Sakakihara pulled up a stool and sat down, then casually took the tea that Ruri had just put down to her mouth, making her face bulge with anger. Lejun, it's true. If you want to drink it without saying a word, there's no reason to just take it away. Just kidding, look, I haven't drunk yet. No, take it. What? Sakakibara took a closer look and discovered that there was a beige scarf in the hand that Amamai Nanamayu suddenly raised. This is... What, you don't recognize the scarf? Or are you losing your mind these days trying to catch up with your sister's physical fitness? This doesn't happen. At first glance, Sakakibara thought that Kiyo or Liuli had brought it to him from home, but after taking a closer look, he found that he had never worn this scarf. And this scarf is surprisingly ugly. Bought it new? Why is it so ugly? Sakakibara took the scarf in his hand and looked at it. Not long after he blurted out these words, he found that Tenkai Nanamai took the scarf back directly. When he looked at the Tenkai 9 glazed teacup opposite her, it stopped at her mouth, revealing a hint of wry smile. Sakakibara suddenly realized something. He quickly looked at Kiyo, whose expression remained unchanged. Sorry. July. Tianhai Chi Minjiao withdrew the hand holding the scarf, and no longer looked at him sideways, her gaze became even colder. Lejun. After Tianhai Kaimingyu took back the scarf in his hand, Tianhai Liuli had already warned him with a wry smile. Is this a scarf knitted in July? Sakakihara lowered his voice and asked Liuli quietly. Yet Tianhai Liuli also cooperated and responded in a low voice, Xiaoqiu learned it from me specifically. When we were chatting last week, I mentioned that I gave Lejun a pair of gloves to help him now. It's almost the beginning of winter, and in July she was thinking of knitting a scarf for you, Lejun, before Halloween. Upon hearing this, Sakakihara Raku felt the seriousness of this matter even more. Apparently, something went terribly wrong. July. What are you doing? Tianhai Chi Minjiao held her beige scarf and didn't even look at him. Just now. Just now. What just now? Didn't Chi give me a scarf just now? Scarf? Do you have one? Tianhai Kaimingyu answered lightly. Sakakibara pulled up a stool and sat down next to her, approaching the girl with a smile. Isn't that what Chi-Chi holds in her hand? Well, you are very ugly. I hate you when I look at you. No. I don't hate it at all. Then who were you talking about just now? I'm talking about myself. There was no trace of trust on Tian Haikaimingyu's face. After spending effort and hand-knitting clothes, others will dislike them, and unhappiness is the inevitable result. But Chi-Chi is a very sensible person, and Sakakibara decided to explain to her seriously. Of course I understand Chi-Chi's sincere heart, but Chi-Chi's ugliness is an objective fact. Then don't ask for it. I'll wear it myself. I haven't finished talking yet. Once I know that Chi-Chi specially knitted it for me, it doesn't matter how ugly it is. While Sakakibara spoke, he secretly winked at Ruri on the other side. Although Amamai Kururi covered her mouth and snickered, when faced with Sakakibara Raku's request for help, she still opened her mouth to help. In July, Lejun did it unintentionally. Tian Haikaiminyu didn't have too many expressions, and her tone was calm. She just held the beige scarf firmly in her hand. Sister, don't speak for someone. Since someone dislikes being ugly, I'll just throw it away. His expression was indifferent, but his hands clenched the scarf tightly. Now Chi-Chi was really angry. Sakakibara hurriedly stepped forward to explain to her, but Chi-Chi was angry when she was angry. No matter how she said nice things to her, she always had an attitude that was neither salty nor indifferent. Tian Haijuli Yulai was watching the show and was already laughing so hard. Okay, stop teasing Jun Le in Kyo, he is also very anxious. After Amamai Nanamajetsu heard what her sister said, she saw that Sakakibara Raku was indeed still apologizing to herself, so she gave him the scarf in her hand. Take it. Aren't you angry? In July, Sakakibara did not take it immediately. I don't know if the weaving is ugly or not. But I can only weave it to this level now. It's up to you if you don't want to use it. What I said in July is true. Maybe Tian Haijuli Yulai also noticed that his sister's mouth was tough, and his smile never stopped. Lejun, don't listen to what Kyo said. She has been learning from me for a long time to knit this scarf. She doesn't even know how many times her fingers have been pricked by needles. That's because my sister taught me to be stupid. Isn't it because Chi-Chi was stupid? Because when he thought of giving Lejun a scarf or something, he was very serious. The two sisters were bickering, and Sakakibara looked carefully at the scarf in his hand. Ugliness is indeed ugly, but it is indeed Chi-Chi's intention. He knew that Chi-Chi had never knitted anything, and Li Yulai had only learned a little bit. It took me a week to learn how to give myself a scarf in July. It would be impossible to say that I didn't feel anything after receiving it. As for calling me ugly at first, to be honest, I just blurted it out subconsciously at first sight. Thank you, July. Tian Haikaiminyu replied calmly, didn't you tell me about your past experiences some time ago? You said that no one cared about you in your previous life, so now that you are here, you pay special attention to the people around you. No one has ever been able to give you a scarf or anything. Sakakibara Raku looked at Tenkai Nanamai, a little unbelievable, so, Chi Minjio specially learned it and gave it to me. I want you to pay more attention to yourself, idiot. You didn't pay attention to your clothes today. It's cold again, right? Tian Haikaiminyu saw that this guy became stupid. After sighing, he turned around and faced him. At the same time, she reached out and took the beige scarf in his hand, wrapped it around his neck layer by layer, and finally stretched out her hand to pull it, and even held his sleeves for him. My sister also said that my brother is like a child sometimes, which I think is right. But there is also another condition, that is, my brother will become strong when no one cares about him, and once he finds the one he thinks is true when there are people who care about him, he becomes weak, as if he has found a child to rely on. On this point, July is right. Sakakihara buried his face in a warm scarf, thinking that he probably had no normal childhood experiences in his entire life. In 2 lifetimes, the mother herself has never had the opportunity to throw herself into their arms and act coquettishly, almost always alone. So after meeting Kyotong Liulai, I really like the times when they care about me and when they express their love to me. In other words, Tianhai Chi Minjiao withdrew her hand from arranging his scarf, placed her hands flat in front of the skirt, and stared at his thinking face with her sky blue eyes. What my brother lacks is love, especially maternal love. Where is it? Huh? Someone not only wants to call me Mother Chi, but even my sister wants to call me Mother Liulai, right? Sakakibara looked at Amamai Kurayuri, who had been laughing, as if asking her how she could say this to Chi-Chi. Isn't this just embarrassing yourself? Sakakihara turned into a very serious expression. What you said in July is nothing more than. Just what? Tianhai Kaimingyu also smiled slightly. It's just a game between young lovers to express their love. Sakakihara Raku seemed indifferent on the surface, but he was still a little shy inside. It's even embarrassing to think of the way he fell on Liulai's lap and acted coquettishly to her not long ago. After all, he is also a grown man who is over 1.8 meters tall and is good at sports. Why does he look like that? Could it be that this is real love? It makes people get bored unconsciously and start acting coquettishly towards their girlfriends. Tianhai Julie Yulai covered her mouth lightly and said with a smile, Lejun was quite cute at that time. I originally thought that Lejun only did it to me. I didn't expect that he would be like that to Kyo. He was a coquettish child. Don't call me that, I was just. Sakakibara was so anxious that he felt irritable because Kyo and Liulai now looked at him less like a boyfriend and more like a gentle mother looking at a cute little boy. This description is somewhat exaggerated, but it really feels like this. In addition, my scarf was knitted in July and worn in July. This feeling made Sakakibara feel uncomfortable all over. Obviously he is their adopted brother or elder brother, but now he makes them act like their elders. Just what? Tianhai Chi Minjiao asked calmly. Brother wants to explain that he actually doesn't like to act like a spoiled brat. Is his behavior of throwing himself into my and my sister's arms to sleep a lie? Lejun admitted. Tianhai Julie Yulai couldn't stop smiling. When Lejun wants to act like a baby, just tell me and Kyo, maybe Kyo and I will agree to Lejun acting like a baby in front of us at the same time. When the time comes, please pamper Lejun properly. Can't stand it? Unbearable. Sakakihara Raku felt that his self-esteem had been insulted and his face was redder than an apple. I am a man after all. In front of these 2 glamorous twins, I felt like a kept little puppy. Although it does look quite similar when holding Liulai and asking her to touch her head. But this time is not that time. How can the situation last forever? Facing one of the 2 sisters is fine, but facing both at the same time is fine. He didn't want to spend the rest of his life being teased and manipulated by the 2 sisters. Sakakihara covered his chest and quickly stretched out his hand. Stop it! Stop it! If you keep listening, I'm going to have a heart attack. I've already said it. It's just a little term of endearment when we're in love. How about we talk about Halloween the day after tomorrow? Although the weather is a bit cold. But it seems that there will be a lot of people coming out to play during Halloween in Akihabara. How about we join in? Tianhai Kaimingyu, I won't go. Tianhai Julie Yulai asked curiously, last year Lejun said that Halloween was not interesting, why do you want to participate this year? Sakakibara was happy to see that the topic had finally changed, and instantly relaxed a lot. Everyone is together this year. There is no trouble, and we can have fun together. I specifically communicated with Suzu and Yuki before coming, and they both agreed to participate. Still very happy. Tianhai Kaimingyu is still the same, I won't go. Tianhaijuli Yulai selectively ignored her sister and thought about it carefully. This year's Halloween should be quite interesting. I would also like to try it out, but the cosmetics must be bought in advance and the props must be carefully made. July, aren't you afraid again? I don't understand why you like these weird things so much. If you don't participate, you just don't participate. Well, we won't go in July, right? I'm going. Aling and Yuki will also go then. Where's Li Yulai? Tianhaijuli Yulai responded with dignity, I want to go. Very good, then leave Chi-Chi alone at home. Chi-Chi actually knows that on Halloween, there will be many children with weird makeup coming to you asking for candy. Then you will be the only one in Chiu at home. Alone, then. Then Lejun secretly pulled out the power switch at home. Tianhaijuli Yulai laughed. That's right, there won't even be any light in the house by then, and it's Halloween night again, July month. Do you know what will happen? Are you going in July? If you don't go, I will pull out your wires and turn into a ghost to scare you. Tianhaikaimingu opened her eyes wide and glared at someone, but after seeing the smile on his face, she understood that he was waiting for an opportunity to retaliate against her for teasing him just now. The girl crossed her arms, turned her face sideways, and her voice became much softer. Whatever you want. Friendly recommendation, abnormal women praise me for being awesome. Japanese love story. Yano, please let me be your lover. I am willing to take off all my restraints and dedicate everything to you. He looked at the girl sitting in front of him, as if the next moment, the girl would unzip and fulfill her promise. She wanted to do something, but her hand was held tightly, and King Mei's low moans could be heard in her ears. Promise her, even if Yano is a boy, I will just be the backup. Asterisk. Asterisk. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 500. Wow. Happy Halloween. Yeah, happy. October 31st, 7 o'clock in the evening, when night falls. Raku Sakakihara stood at the door of his home, leaning against the wall and scrolling through his mobile phone. He glanced at Sakakibara Suzu, who had just come out of the house and wanted to scare him, and then continued to scroll through his phone. What the hell? What? Holding a wand, with red horns on her head, small devil wings hanging on her back, and wearing a gothic dark-style dress, Sakakihara Suzu is very strange. How come I didn't scare you, bro? Sakakibara put down her phone and glanced at the confused sister in front of her. If you were a zombie cosplayer, Suzu, I might be scared. You are just a dark little Lolita dressed like this. Hey, bro, are you praising me? No, I'm talking about your small breasts. Sakakihara Suzu's originally cheerful expression fell instantly. Sakakibara smiled instead. Why don't you become a zombie, Suzu? Zombies are cute enough. Damn it. I don't want it. The zombies are too ugly. Their faces are bloody and have ugly rotten skin. What Aling meant was that she didn't want to go out looking so ugly. This phenomenon is quite common in Japan. Most girls don't like to turn into those ugly monsters on Halloween, which also leads to the fact that Halloween, which is obviously a ghost festival, has turned into a hodgepodge of cosplays of various film and television and anime characters. Alas, Sakakihara Raku originally had no interest in this festival. If Aling hadn't strongly urged everyone to go out for fun tonight, and said there was a huge and fun Halloween-themed haunted house at Universal Studios, he wouldn't have agreed to go out today. Well, he definitely didn't know that there were large haunted houses that could scare people. I only agreed to go out in July. Having said that, Ling's outfit is quite interesting. Little devil's horns, little devil's wings, little devil's hooked tail, a pure black skirt, and a dark trident wand in his hand. Probably noticing that her brother was looking at her, Suzu Sakakihara immediately put her hands on her waist proudly, raised her chin and said, "Humph, my outfit is cute, isn't it?" With this expression and movement, there is just a piece of paper stuck on his face that says "Praise me quickly." Praise me quickly. Ugly. What? Sakakibara Suzu became angry, holding the toy trident and hitting it on Sakakibara's chin. Bold. Did you hear that the devil is calling you to compliment her on her beauty? Sakakihara Raku casually snatched the trident from Devil Suzu and raised it above his head. Hey! My halberd! My halberd! Sakakibara kept jumping to get back the weapon that belonged to her, but no matter how she jumped, Sakakibara could always transfer it to the other hand when she was about to get it. Sakakihara Suzu knew that she couldn't beat him, so she quickly admitted defeat and kept shouting, "I was wrong. I was wrong." Sakakibara returned the trident. Why is the devil so spineless? Sakakibara Suzu held the trident in her arms and said with a puffed face, "If a devil has backbone, then it can still be called a devil? A real devil can bend and stretch. It seems to make some sense." Humph, Brother Zeu who can't even satisfy Sister Kyo, please. Hey! You girl! Seeing that the situation was not good, Sakakihara Suzu turned around and ran away. The second person to come out of the house was Amami Yuki. Her dress was exactly the opposite of Sakakihara Suzu. She was an angel with small wings. She also wore a white dress, but the paper angel ring on her head looked a bit funny. Yuki, are you considered the same series of cosplayers as a Ling? Well, I am an angel, and a Ling is a devil. Sakakibara laughed immediately and said to his younger sister who had just returned, "I didn't expect you to be quite self-aware, Suzu." What? Suzu Sakakihara, who was checking her cell phone, didn't react. Her raised face reflected the fluorescence of the cell phone screen. "I praise you for choosing the devil theme well. You look like a little devil." He right, Brother Zeu is enlightened. The last ones to come out were the two sisters Tianhai. Chi-Chi itself was against Halloween, so Liuli basically dragged her out and put on makeup after choosing it for her. It was the clothes they were wearing that almost made Sakakihara Raku look stupid. Nurse outfit. Liuli actually held a large syringe in her hand. Nurse? Wrong. Lejun, you are a doctor. Amami Kuruori reminded them loudly, and Sakakibara Rakuten took a second look and realized that they were indeed dressed more like doctors than nurses. They deliberately put their long hair into cute buns on the left and right, and their pure white uniforms had a brown belt tied diagonally at the waist. In addition to the short blue shawl on the shoulders with blood stains, even the stockings on the slender legs were in tatters. It seems that the dressing up has a bit of a ghost atmosphere. It's just cuter. Sakakihara Leto glanced at the large syringe half a person's height in Liuli's hand. Tianhaijuli Yuli noticed his gaze and directly picked up the syringe. "Lejun, do you want me and Chi-Chi to give you an injection? Or do you want us to come and check it for you?" "Sister, let's check up on my brother together." Tianhaijuli Yuli smiled and nodded. "Well, it's not impossible." "Wait, let's check together? What should I do?" Sakakihara asked. "First of all, Lejun needs to sit down in the infirmary, then lie on the hospital bed, then take off his pants, and then..." Tianhaijuli Yuli picked up the half-human high syringe. "Insert this hard in the on Lejun's ass." Tianhai Kaimingyu nodded in agreement. "Put them all in." Liuli's smile now is quite intimidating. After the group gathered together, they went downstairs and started walking along the street towards Universal Studios. It can be said that the road is full of pedestrians with costumes for Halloween. Kaido Kid, a policewoman holding handcuffs and wearing fishnet stockings, Luban 3, McDonald's Clown, Doraemon, and Big Bear. This is not so much Halloween as it is a complete cos conference. When we arrived at Universal Studios, there were even more tourists here, and the devils were dancing around. When I got tired of taking photos in the middle, a child wearing a Jason mask, a classic American horror image, came to ask Tianhai Kaimingyu for candy, which scared her to death. Sakeki Harasuzu packed up her camera and searched for photos taken by several people in the past half hour. What she likes most is this picture of herself poking her brother's butt with a trident and being photographed by Sister Kyo. Very interesting. Hey. Ailing, why are you giggling? Let's go. Ah. What are you doing? Going to a haunted house, wasn't it your recommendation? Yes. The Haunted Mansion at Universal Studios is a scary castle. The setting is the city of innocent souls cursed by the devil, with countless innocent souls and monsters hidden inside. It occupies quite a large area and is said to have been restored 1-to-1 according to the settings. You can see the exit from the queue. Tianhai Kaimingyu discovered that there were actually people being helped out of the haunted house by their companions. Is it so exaggerated? Jutsuyuki, if you're scared, you can lean on me the whole time. Sakeki Hararaku's face suddenly came closer. It's just a trivial matter. Tianhai Kaimingyu acted very indifferently. Weren't you scared to death last July? Don't you come out with weak feet like the person who came out just now, and you still need me to support you. Last time was last time, and this time is this time. I won't fall for it a second time. Then what do you say if you're hit? What if you can't get hit? Tianhai Kaimingyu asked flatly. Sakeki Hara thought for a while, then I will meet one of your conditions in July. Satisfy me. Tianhai Chi Minjiu glanced at someone specifically and crossed her arms. In that case, next time you come to my room, just wear the magical girl skirt from Aling. It's best. Just tie yourself up and come here. Sakeki Hararaku. After waiting in line for nearly an hour, Aling was so bored that she pulled hundreds of leaves from the shrubs in the flower bed. Finally, it was the turn of 5 people. The staff at the beginning asked a few people to sign a disclaimer and specifically stated that it is not recommended for the faint of heart. After confirming that none of the 10 tourists wanted to leave, they took a few people away. Enter the castle. A large haunted house naturally has a mission after entering it. A total of 10 people came in this time, and they needed to find a clue, the blood contract, within a certain period of time. Those who found it could redeem gifts and rewards after leaving. Aling seemed to really want the little devil doll in the gift, so she asked Li Yulai and Zhixu to help her find it from the beginning. Therefore, the pace of a few people is relatively fast. When entering the gloomy cellar corridor from the filthy Castlevania sewer at the beginning, Raku Sakeki Hara, who was taking care of July in the back, could not see the shadow of several people at all. Wait a minute. Where are my sister and the others? It's not that you were too slow in Chi-Chi and we lost track of you. Are you afraid of what you said in Chi-Chi? Anyway, your skirt is fixed. This place is so dark that you can barely see your fingers when you reach out. It seems that you have just walked out of the cellar, walked through a gorgeous corridor, and reached the end. Sakeki Hara opened a rusty door. The room behind the door is quite spacious, but the environment is not very optimistic. There are dim candles, rickety chairs, broken glass, and bloodstains everywhere on the ground. The dark passage in front is lined with demon statues with evil expressions. On the old and gorgeous floor there is an inexplicable dark yellow hard dirt. This place looks like a banquet hall, but it has been abandoned for a long time, and even the food on the dinner plate has rotted to the point where only bones are left. Snap! Almost the moment Sakakibara came in with Kyo, something broke the glass in the darkness. At the same time, all the weak candles in the banquet hall were extinguished. This made Sakeki Hararaku realize that Nanami immediately moved closer to him. There is something. Don't be afraid, the staff is just scaring people. Sakakihara Raku couldn't see what the fleeting black shadow was. Huh? Are you scared again in July? Want to hear the truth? Let's talk about it in July. It's not like you didn't know that I didn't like these environments last time. This time, you and your sister forced me to come over. It's okay, it's okay. Just follow me. Don't worry if you hear any strange noises. They are all fake. This is what you said. Certainly. If you dare to scare me, I will definitely be angry with you. Sakakibara laughed lightly in the darkness. Since when did July become so cute when threatening people? Stop talking and take me out quickly. There seems to be nothing in the banquet hall, except that there are 5 passages at the end. This puts Sakakihara in a difficult position. Which way? On the far right, just pick one. Anyway, I don't see any clues. The designer is here to divide tourists. Okay. We continued forward, cautiously walking in the dark for 5 minutes. The road became narrower and narrower, and the surrounding furnishings became more and more like a utility room. Until at the end of the dark depths, a dark and bottomless road suddenly appeared. Well. Ancient well. Even though Sakakibara was too brave, he didn't dare to poke his head into the well in this pitch-black place. Who knew if Sadako would suddenly appear? But there was no way out, and there was really no other way. Sakakibara could only move slowly towards the mouth of the well, and then looked inside with the light of his mobile phone. What is there? Tianhai Kaimingyu asked behind him. A ladder. Want to go into the well? Well, the only choice is to go here. No, I want to quit. When Sakakibara looked into the well, he became more courageous and advised, don't be afraid, July, everything is fake anyway. If you are afraid, just follow me and hold my hand, okay? Don't you want to see me turn into a magical girl in July? Or are you saying that Chi-Chi wants to withdraw with me first, and after Liulai and Aling come out to explore, they can just mock Chi-Chi that you are afraid of ghosts? Amamai Nanamajetsu was even more speechless. Only Sakakibara Raku knew about her special fear of ghosts. Then agree, follow me closely and don't scare me. No problem, no problem. Taking the lead, Raku Sakakihara walked in front and climbed down the ladder into the well first. Tianhai Chi Minjio looked around nervously for a moment or two, and then hurriedly followed him down the stairs. The depth of the well is not very deep, just over 2 meters. But what is even more frightening is that after going down the well, the road becomes even narrower. You almost have to bend down to go forward, and you have to go down the stairs. The stairs are wrapped in darkness, and there is no light at all. It's a bit uncomfortable. But it seems like we still have to go down. Go out and demolish this haunted house. Sakakibara couldn't laugh or cry. Chi-Chi was clearly scared to death, but her behavior was still extremely normal, and she also had the toughness of a young lady unexpectedly. The two followed each other's footsteps, bent down, and began to walk down. The further down you go, the more wrong the style becomes. The style here is very different from before. The main body is scarlet, and there are strange traces of blood on both sides of the stairs, which is extremely weird. The two of them didn't pay attention to these details, but carefully walked down the stairs step by step until they came to the end, in front of a rotten wooden door. Should it open in July or should I open it? You drive. Call me husband and I'll start. Tianhai Kaimingyu silently put her hands on his waist. Sakakibara smiled, turned around and came to the door. When he opened the door and took a look, he was stunned for a moment. The dense bloody fingerprints all over the walls and floor in the room made people feel numb. In the middle was an evil magic circle that seemed to be engraved with blood, and a foul smell of rust hit his face. Hey, it seems we have come to a very bad place. Sakakihara Raku must praise that this haunted house is very powerful. Not to mention that the dense bloody handprints are extremely scary. The blood-red magic circle in the middle of the basement also looks particularly scary. In the center of the magic circle was an empty old wooden cross with iron chains and nails on it. At first glance, it looked like an evil magic circle that was used to sacrifice something to summon something. The room was filled with countless broken shackles and dead bones soaked in blood. Although Tian Haikaiminyu didn't like this place, she was still trying to find clues. With the dim candlelight in the basement, she observed the surrounding environment. Is this the origin mentioned in the haunted house setting? It's very similar. The setting also said that someone summoned a demon with a lot of effort, but unfortunately it was backfired by the demon. So this is the clue we want? Probably. Then look for it quickly. If you find it, get out. I don't think I'll stay here for too long. There's too much ketchup. Okay. Although I wasn't very scared, I was still a little nervous when I was surrounded by scary layouts and only had the light source of mobile phones and candles. Raku Sakakihara was looking for mission props in the basement. The flashlight on his mobile phone could only provide some weak light, and his eyes swept over the hideous bloody handprints on the wall, old wood chips and old books scattered on the floor one by one. At this moment, Sakakihara Raku heard the sound of something falling. Sakakibara instantly shined the flashlight and saw a man's corpse with a burnt face suddenly hanging down. Sakakibara looked at the charred face of the corpse curiously. The corpse also looked at Sakakihara Raku curiously with its charred eyes. Eyes facing each other. The body was slowly swaying in the air as it was pulled down by a rope. It's quite realistic. The corpse even blinked at himself. Sakakibara reached out and poked it, and found that it was actually a living person. Are you so dedicated? Probably Sakakihara Raku's actions were so nonsensical that the staff who played the male corpse were speechless. Sakakibara asked curiously, are you tired from hanging like this? The staff member of the male corpse did not reply, but just raised his hand and pointed behind Sakakihara Raku. Sakakibara turned around and saw that Chi-Chi was missing. Were you scared away? He felt anxious and subconsciously took a step forward. Only then did he realize that Tian Haikaiminyu had fainted and fell to the ground. Sakakihara watched silently. July is not so fragile, right? About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 501. Halloween night was a little chilly, and although the atmosphere at Universal Studios was warm enough, it was hard to resist the cold air around it. Are you okay? After saying these words, Sakakihara Raku felt a little regretful. Because the current situation in July cannot be called nothing at all, his eyes are dull, and even his hands holding the hot coffee are trembling slightly. If the consultant doctor hired by the haunted house hadn't repeatedly assured her that she was fine, Sakakibara would have been worried that his beautiful wife had been frightened. At the moment, Ruri and Suzu haven't come out of the haunted house yet. Since July has woken up and she doesn't have to go to the hospital, Sakakibara takes her to sit at an outdoor cafe in the studio. The night breeze felt cool on his face, and some ghosts wandered around from time to time. In this festival where ghosts carnival, Sakakihara was very worried whether these passers-by would cause secondary harm to July. He was very worried, stretched out his hand, waved it in front of Tian Haikaimingyu's sight, and asked cautiously. Hey, are you okay, Chi-Chi? Tian Haikaimingyu probably hadn't recovered from the environment in the haunted house just now. She paused for 5 or 6 seconds before she managed to reply. Fine. Is everything okay? No matter how you look at it, Kyo, you don't look like you're okay at all. Sakakihara glanced at her trembling hands with worry. Have you got it? Tian Haikaiminyu suddenly asked. What thing? Raku Sakakihara, who was sitting opposite her, didn't react at all, What is it? Contract. Contract. Sakakibara hesitated for 3 or 4 seconds before suddenly realizing that Chi-Chi was talking about the mission props he had just found in the haunted house. Auntie, why are you out now and still thinking about this? Damn it, it seems that Chi-Chi was really frightened. The smartest wife in the family directly becomes the stupidest wife. She might have to ask Yuki how to go to the toilet at home in the future. Regret. Sakakibara was a little anxious and asked quickly. Can you answer the question now in July? What is the problem? You know that some places have signs saying no guide dogs allowed, right? So, are these signs for blind people or for guide dogs? Tian Haikimingyu suddenly frowned, as if thinking, and replied after a second, blind people can't see things, so they are for guide dogs to see. Sakaki Hararaku, dot. Broken. July is so stupid. Wrong. Of course not. How can a dog understand words? Let me take you to the hospital now in July. Maybe you can be saved. Tian Haikimingyu frowned again, why can't dogs understand human words? Dot. What nonsense are you talking about in July? Although a dog cannot understand the true meaning of words, it can analyze what it should do through images, which is completely trainable. As for the signs you mentioned, train the guide dog in advance, and it will naturally respond to that sign. I will take my master to avoid it, what's wrong with that? Dot. Sakaki Hararaku was stunned. He didn't expect that there could be such a solution to this problem. Is it me who is emotionally stupid? Brother. Hearing the sound, Raku Sakakihara turned around and found Suzu Sakakihara holding a half-length doll and waving to her, with Ruri and Yuki following her. After Sakakibara Suzu discovered him, she ran over in small steps and looked around Tiankai Nanamayu with a curious look. Sister Kyo, are you okay? Why do you feel so stunned? Just now Chi-Chi was frightened and fainted in the haunted house. So serious, Tianhai Julie Yulai immediately came over, bent down, looked worriedly into her sister's eyes, and waved, July, July. Tianhai Kaimingyu now seems to have entered a state of trance. Basically, everything he does has to be delayed for 5 or 6 seconds, and the tone of his answers is also very slow. Aling and Luli looked left and right, and in the end they could only conclude that Chi-Chi was indeed frightened. How about going to the hospital? Sakakibara spread his hands, I originally thought so too, but the doctor came over to get his professional guarantee and said that there is no problem. At most, he only needs to rest for a while and he will be back to his original state. The haunted house isn't that scary, right? Hee, and this is the first time I've seen someone actually fainted by being scared. You're too cowardly. Sakakibara gave a weird reminder, Asuzu your sister in July is just slow to react, but it's not that she can't hear. Be careful that she will find an opportunity to deal with you after she recovers. Sakakihara Suzu smiled and hugged the haunted house doll she just won and the trident in her hand, looking confident, I'm not afraid. Tianhai Julie Yulai worriedly checked her sister's condition for a while and was convinced that she was fine. Just really need a rest. How about we end our activities tonight? Chi-Chi needs to go home and rest. Do you still want to play, Yuki? If you want to play, you can ask Aling to accompany you. Is Zioki okay? It's okay, I just need to go back and take a nap or something. Tianhai's Higsu, dressed as an angel, then just listen to the music. Suzu Sakakibara, who was dressed as a little devil, suddenly raised her hand, although I really want to go home to be with Sister Kyo, Tiano, and the others will also be here later. Yuki and I made an appointment with her to take pictures together. It's really not a good idea to break the appointment, Raku Sakakihara thought for a while. Well, Lee Yulai and Aling, you can take Yuki to visit the amusement park. She likes the amusement park quite a lot. Don't worry about July, I'll take her back to rest. Do you have any objections? No one had any objections. Although everyone is a little worried about July's situation, since Sakakibara is taking care of her, it will be fine. Besides, everyone could see that the two of them were not that cold about Halloween, so they let them go home first. When Chi-Chi took another 2 sips of hot coffee and paid the bill to the pumpkin-headed cafe owner in the movie theater, Tianhai Chi Minjiu had obviously been staring at the boss's pumpkin-headed and black cloak outfit, with a dazed look on his face. Sakaki Hararaku could tell that Chiyu was really afraid of gods and ghosts. By the way, I want to make a complaint. This movie theater is really shady. The food and coffee are at least 3 times more expensive than those sold outside, and the quality is inferior. It can only be said that crows in the world are generally black. The section from the cinema to the street is very lively. From time to time, a few children wearing weird clothes carry vegetable baskets and ask adults on the roadside for candies, and then happily chase and fight all the way. I heard them saying childishly, "Whoever wants more candies is the boss, and everyone will listen to him in the future." Sakakibara smiled and sighed in his heart. A long time ago, he seemed to have played a gang game with his friends. "Do you want to get on my back in Kyo? I see you don't want to leave." Good. There was almost no hesitation in Chi-Chi's answer this time, and she hugged her much tighter than usual when he carried her on his back. She was really scared. Sakakibara smiled and thought, wishing that July could be so candid on weekdays. Deep down in her heart, there is weakness and softness, there are also things that she is afraid of, and she also has the thought of wanting to rely on others. This July may not be as perfect as the July we first met. But to be honest, Sakaki Hararaku is very grateful that she can show her unique weak side in front of him. Sakakibara held Amami Nanamajetsu's thin legs on his back with both hands and led her across the street to the roadside near Tokyo Bay, where the sea breeze blew. The blowing makes people feel a bit cool and refreshing. The moonlight was soft, and the black clouds were illuminated blue. The city is bustling, but Tokyo Bay adjacent to the city is silent, with waves crashing on the coastline and sparkling lights in the sky. Tianhai Kaimingyu was carried on his back, and just like before, she couldn't help but lean her head on his shoulder. She pressed her face so close that every breath she took was almost close to the back of Sakaki Hararaku's neck. "Brother!" the girl called softly, her weak voice slightly amplified by the close distance. "Is it uncomfortable to carry her?" Sakakibara carried her on his back on the walking path to the shore. Every passerby who passed by would pay more attention to the two of them out of curiosity. More or less, you can tell that this is an envious look. I envy the two of them to have such a close relationship. Thinking of this, Sakakibara felt a sense of showing off in his heart. This was probably the benefit of being envied by others. "No. Then why are you calling me?" "Just wanted to call you." "But there must be a reason for calling me suddenly, right? Or is it because Chi-Chi was scared just now and wanted to call me to prove whether I am still with you?" Her voice was soft and weak, not at all cold as usual. Sakakibara became more affectionate towards her, and his voice became much softer. "Are you scared?" Next time I won't bring you here in Kyo." I must admit that at first I still had some thoughts of teasing you in Kyo. But I didn't expect it to be so serious. I felt very sad when I saw you in a coma. If the doctor hadn't always assured you that there was nothing wrong with you, I would have definitely taken you to the hospital for a checkup. Don't ask why in July. There are not many people in the world who feel sorry for me. Does it mean you will feel bad if I die? Why do you ask this question so suddenly? Sakaki Haro laughed out loud, hugging the girl's thigh and lifting her up. There is no doubt that she will be sad for a long time. Then I will be so sad that you are gone. Sakakibara noticed the girl's closeness from behind. He was stunned for a moment, and then smiled. "So even if you hated me that day, you still had to fly to England to find me." "Right. That day. That day after I realized that you are a pure idiot, I wasn't angry with you that much. I always wanted to find a good relationship with you again when I went home, but you kept running to the company and I couldn't. By any chance? It was the scarf I gave you today that you took the initiative to find on the day of the fireworks display. It can be regarded as my apology. Sakakibara knew that she had done nothing wrong in July. In July, she just loved herself too deeply and regarded the relationship between the two as extremely important, which is why she had such a serious reaction. Unexpectedly, Chi-Chu still cared about the previous things in her heart. The scarf she gave to herself in the morning was not only because of the cold weather, but also because of her concern for herself and her apology for not taking the initiative to come to him to repair the relationship. No wonder Chi-Chi got angry when she said the scarf she knitted was ugly in the afternoon. Isn't this simply denying her thoughts and actions? Really, Chi-Chi, if you have anything wrong or need, just tell me directly. Why do you have to do this? I heard from Liuli that you pricked your hands several times when you were learning to knit scarves. Let me see. Let's see. Amami Nanamajetsu put her white and soft hands in front of Sakakibara Raku's face. Sakakibara Raku had a free hand to pinch her slender fingers and look at them. There were indeed a few small holes pricked by needles on her fingertips. Too much pricking will not make it pretty. Sakakibara looked very distressed. Does it hurt? Fortunately, the needles originally used for knitting clothes are not that thin, but I have to use a little more force. However, the scarf knitted with finer needles will also look much better. You will not find it ugly. Ugliness is just a subconscious thing. I know you knitted it in July. No matter how ugly it is still very precious. But it's still ugly. I'll weave something nice for you in the new year. Hearing these words made Sakakibara feel warm in his heart. It's better to say goodbye. Still you find it ugly? Then when you give it to me, I will have to wear 2 scarves. I can't bear to throw away the scarf that Kyo finally knitted for me. Sakakibara Raku lowered his head as he walked and said softly, no one was willing to knit something for me in my previous life. That's because the people you met in your previous life were unlucky and didn't have the chance to get to know the real you. Even if we met, you might not be willing to knit a scarf for me, Raku Sakakibara said with a smile, and then turned his head to rub his face with Amami Nanamajetsu, who was close to his neck. July didn't resist his intimacy, and even cooperated very well. July month. Suddenly I feel so happy. Aren't you happy that your sister and I will spend the rest of your life with you? Sakakibara smiled lightly again. Talking to Kyo like this, he couldn't help but have a happy smile on his face. The atmosphere became much more lively as a result. Then Chi-Chi, will you stay with me all night today? Want it? Well, after all, it's been quite a while since I haven't been like that. It's quite uncomfortable. Okay, but dash. But what? But don't wear it, it will make you feel less comfortable. Sakakibara Raku, will it? The feeling is obvious, at least I don't like the feeling that is too smooth. Sakakibara Raku didn't know how to answer the call. Interestingly, when talking about this aspect with July, there was no gap between them. It is obviously a very private matter, but it can be said as easily as in daily conversation. And Sakakibara Raku feels that Chi-Chi doesn't hate this kind of thing at all, it can even be said that he likes it. The reason is, as long as you are bored during the holidays, you will feel that way to some extent. At this time, as long as she gives a slight hint to Kyo, she will basically agree. We sleep together at night, and when we wake up the next morning, we do it as long as we have free time. Ahem. This is also the reason why Liuli complained that the two of them had no control. What does July feel like when we are together? Powerful, good technique, I'm very satisfied. Sakakibara hugged Kyo's soft thighs, his heart itching. Then, what is the most satisfying thing about Kyo? Want to hear? Quite thoughtful. Then put your ear closer. Sakakibara tilted his head back slightly. Nanami put her hands on his shoulders, stretched her fair neck forward slightly, placed her mouth next to his ear, blew warm air, and whispered a word. This word made Raku Sakakihara blush. Am I really that good? What do you mean by that? Didn't you notice that every time my sister looked at it directly? And every time she took it, she wouldn't let me use it? I can see that my sister likes it very much. No wonder the two sisters always had an inexplicable rivalry over who was first and who was last. I see. July. Ask if you have questions. Sakakibara knew he shouldn't ask Kyo this question, but he still couldn't restrain his eagerness to move. What about July? Do you think? Well, no need to ask at all, Chi-Chi is very satisfied anyway. Then let's take a taxi on the side of the road and go home directly. Tian Haikimingyu understood what he meant. This guy couldn't wait any longer. Dad and Aunt are going home tonight. It's okay, let's keep it down and be quiet. That's up to you. July has definitely recovered now. As for Halloween, Sakakibara has long forgotten about it. Carrying Kyo on his back, he immediately took a taxi on the roadside and hurried home. After opening the door and taking off his shoes, not to mention taking a shower, even the lights in the living room were not turned off. Sakakibara impatiently picked up Nanami's slender legs and walked to the bedroom. What are you doing in such a hurry? Kyo. Stop talking and kiss me quickly. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 502. The setting sun shines on the classroom windows. The sky outside the window was a thin ink blue, and orange street lights lit up one by one in the distance, illuminating the many students walking home along the ginkgo slope. The closer we get to winter, the daylight hours are shorter than before, and it's already dark before 6 o'clock. As school departure time approaches, the sounds of sports clubs practicing on the playground begin to fade away. Sakakihara held his chin with one hand, tilted his head, and looked at the fading blush on the distant skyline. The color of dusk, the smell of books, the exchanges between classmates when saying goodbye, and the chirping of students passing by in the corridor outside the classroom. These breaths and sounds seemed to slow down the second hand above the classroom. Legend. In a daze, Sakakihara Raku heard the sound, turned around, and found that Amami Kuriyuri had already finished handling her student union affairs and returned to the classroom. At this time, he was standing at the door of the classroom. At this time, there were no other students in the classroom. Liuli was naturally beautiful, and the little bit of sunset outside the classroom window fell on her face, making her face look extremely gentle. Tianhaijuli Yuli approached him, smiled and said, I suddenly discovered that Lejun and Kyo are very similar. What is that? Sakakibara's eyes fell on the face of the high school girl walking in front of him. The girl's Western-style school uniform is very straight. Lejun and Kyo always like to look out the window intentionally or unintentionally, and Yuki does the same. Looking out the window. Sakakibara Raku looked back at the sunset that was about to disappear, and then faced Tianhai Kururi again. It's nothing, I'm just looking at the scenery in a daze. Now that Ruri's work is done, let's go home after finding July in the literature department. Ailing's birthday has just passed, it's already November, and the new year is coming soon. After he finished speaking, he stood up. I don't think so. Sakakibara packed his school bag. Tianhaijuli Yuli helped pick up his school uniform jacket. That's how you always look out the window in a daze. This action is normal. Normal is normal, but I have watched Chi-Chi like this for more than 10 years, so I naturally understand what she is feeling and thinking in her heart at this time. Similarly, I also understand what Lejun is feeling and thinking now. I can tell. Tianhaijuli Yulai smiled and paused for a moment, then walked forward and reached out to hug him. The sweet fragrance hit her nostrils, and the refreshing fragrance of last night's shower gel came from the girl's slender neck. Sakaki Hararakudu was stunned for a long time, and it took him a while to react. "What are you doing, Li Yulai, hugging me so suddenly?" Tianhaijuli Yulai hugged his neck tightly and said seriously. "When July was often in a daze, I would hug her directly like this. Every time I saw her looking out the window, I felt that she was so far away from me, and I no longer felt like her. My sister. The same is true for Lejun. She is obviously right by the window, but she seems to be far away from me, as if she is flying far away. Lu Liu. A hug will make you feel better, right?" Li Yulai's words seemed inexplicable at first. But Sakaki Hararaku felt as if he could sense what she meant and roughly understood her thoughts. People who like to look out the window are probably confused inside, right? There is almost no purpose, and you may even stare at a leaf swaying in the wind for a long time. Why is that? Sakaki Hara thought about it carefully. In the past, he liked to finish running and sit on a bench on the street in the busy city, sweating profusely. Then, he quietly watched the flow of people passing in front of him, quietly waited for the street lights of the night market to turn on, and quietly observed the milk tea shop opposite as the takeaway guys walked in and out one after another. This feeling is as if I don't belong to this world, vague and ethereal. This is the feeling of loneliness, Lejun Tianhaijuli Yulai said very seriously. It was like this before July. Lonely. Thinking about it carefully, it seems that this feeling is loneliness, just as Li Yulai said. Look out the window and look out at the crowd. If you had been sitting on a bench for a long time and been alone for most of your life, you would have been looking forward to someone talking to you, right? So. Tianhaijuli Yulai stressed, Chi used to be in a daze, so I would always hug her like this to bring her back from the lonely world. Sakaki Hararaku felt the warmth coming from Amamai Kuruori's body in his arms, and felt something. It's pretty good. Every time I hug Kyo like this, Kyo will sigh and say, "Sister, you are clinging to me again. Do you really like me so much?" Although Kyo sighs and complains again, I can see that she was really happy that I could talk to her. Sakaki Hararaku can verify this. Every time she shamelessly touches Kyo's hand or waist, she always chooses to swat her hand away, acting like she's disgusted, but actually she doesn't hate herself for doing it. She is a little lonely herself, but she also likes the feeling of someone loving her. Is the same thing true for Lejun? Of course. When Tianhaijuli Yulai heard what he said, she strengthened the arm holding his neck, hugged his neck a little harder, and moved her face towards him. At the same time, she spoke softly in her ear, "Then let me hug him like this, Lejun. Lejun will be in a better mood." Dotafum. What trouble did Lejun encounter today? After they separated, Sakakibara shook his head. "No, I'm just feeling a little emotional when I think that the Chinese New Year is approaching and time has moved forward 1 year. Don't like the time passing too fast. How about we meet up with Kyo and take a simple walk outside the school together?" Anything is fine. During the walk, Li Yulai seemed very enthusiastic and enthusiastically led the other two people to chat while walking on the street. Li Yulai took the lead, and the three of them talked about daily trivial matters, international events, and school gossip. They also talked about the topic of Korean room temperature superconductivity, which has been widely discussed on YouTube recently. Li Yulai thinks that there are really results there and can look forward to it. Chi is completely opposed to it and even dismisses it. She thinks that the guys in South Korea are just talking nonsense. This kind of thing will basically appear once every 2 years. This time, the Koreans just lied to themselves. Sakaki Hara had reservations. Anyway, he didn't understand this aspect and wouldn't comment. Then the topic changed from is it possible for room temperature superconducting to be successful, to if it is successful, the future application direction. When it comes to this, the July Encyclopedia is worthy of being the July Encyclopedia. She can explain the application in detail according to the properties of the materials. Then she talks enthusiastically. Sakakibara believed that she could not let her talk anymore, otherwise he and Liuli would be completely unable to talk, and the meaning of the three of them chatting would be lost, so he quickly stopped. July, stop, stop, stop. What? What I said is wrong. No, no, what you said in July is so right, so right. Tianhai Kaimingyu frowned, why do I feel like you are mocking me? Tianhai Liuli immediately changed the topic, in July and July, let's talk about the newly released game. Didn't we try it together over the weekend? Lack of sincerity, Sakaki Hararaku commented, but the gameplay is good. Tianhai Kaimingyu agrees with this point of view, it is simply a copy of the previous generation's work. It only changes a few small things and puts it on the shelves to pass it off as the second generation. It is a very common method for game manufacturers to cheat money. The three of them chatted while walking along the roadside. They also bought milk tea and takoyaki on the way, and sat on a bench to rest for a while. Sakaki Hararaku didn't even notice that the time had already reached 7:30. After starting from school, 1.5 hours had passed before I knew it. After eating, he continued to get up, and then stopped at an intersection. Sakaki Hara took out his phone and took a look at the new messages received online. Sakaki Hara Suzu, who had been off work for a long time, sent him an emoticon of a rabbit frothing at the mouth and lying on the floor, and then asked when they would be back. She and Yuki were starving to death at home. Go back immediately. After replying like this, Sakakibara put away his phone, glanced at the two sisters beside him who were still criticizing the game manufacturer, and a smile appeared on his face unconsciously. He didn't know why the smile appeared on his face, but probably it was the so-called little fun in daily life. Because this girl Liuli was worried about being lonely, she took the initiative to chat with Kyo, and took her to the street to buy snacks without having to pay anything. After understanding her feelings, there will still be a feeling of warmth in my heart. Asterisk. When I walked home, the time came to 8 o'clock in the evening. Almost as soon as he turned the key and opened the door, Suzu Sakakibara, who was wearing a t-shirt and shorts at home, trotted over. Her nose was very good, and she immediately smelled the scent of snacks and the creamer scent of milk tea on several people. The expression that was originally very happy because my brother finally came home suddenly turned into an angry expression, pointing at the three of them. Wow! You didn't go home for a long time. You actually sneaked out to eat takoyaki and drink milk tea behind Yuki and me's backs. That's too much. And you didn't even bring us any back. I'm just going out for a stroll, don't yell. Sakakibara Raku would not be polite to the older girl. You are so cruel, Sister Kyo. Sakakibara Suzu came to Nanamai and complained eagerly, you see, I finished school early today. I left school at 3 o'clock and got off work at 5 o'clock. I even took Yuki home with me. Then Yuki and I waited for you at home. I've been hungry all afternoon. Brother, forget it if he doesn't feel sorry for us, forget it if he doesn't bring us anything to eat when we come back, and yet he's so cruel to us. Sister Chi, tell me, brother, isn't that too much? Hey, Aling, don't bring Yuki with you when you talk. Tianhai Kaimingyu was thinking about Aling's appeal very seriously, well, it is indeed a bit excessive. Then Sister Kyo, hurry up and take care of her. Sister Liuli has to take care of him too. Like a real sister, Nanamai touched Sakaki Hara Suzu's head very lovingly, well, good Suzu, I'll help you take care of him tonight. Okay, Sakakihara Suzu responded with a stiff expression, "Wait a minute. Sister Kyo, why do you have to wait until night? Only free in the evening. Sister Kyo, you are hateful." The moment Sakakihara Suzu understood that Sister Kyo was siding with her brother, she was so angry that she immediately rebelled and went to find Amamai Kuruori. "Sister Liulai, you will definitely love me." "Of course," Tianhaijuli Yulai smiled softly, "I can cook whatever Ling wants to eat today." "Okay, okay, what about my brother?" "Lejun, tonight, Sister Liulai will help you take care of him." Sakakihara Suzu understood everything instantly. "You guys, I'll ignore you for a moment. I'll go back to find Yuki to watch her play the guitar. I'll take a moment." Suzu made a face and ran away in anger, but the smile on Sakakibara Raku's face did not disappear. It was so fun to tease her. But he suddenly realized a problem. Kyo and Liulai both said to clean up themselves at night. Aling, she completely understood what they meant, right? Wouldn't this be good? Tianhaijuli Yulai asked, "Why is it not so good?" "Just to let Aling know about this kind of thing." Tianhaijuli Yulai became dissatisfied and muttered, "It's too late. Who told Lejun to stick with Kyo every night? Xiuzujiang is a night owl. In the past, I might have to cover my head with a pillow every night to sleep." The voice is low enough. Sakakihara thought it was embarrassing for his own sister to hear such things all the time. It is impossible to move out, and both Aling and Yuki have to live with a few people. How about adding a soundproof board to their room? Tianhai Kaimingyu seemed indifferent. "My sister Chan has known about it for a long time. It's not a big deal." July. "No matter what, it's not good to disturb Suzu-chan's sleep. If she listens to it more, she won't be embarrassed. If she wants to sleep, I can give her noise-canceling headphones to keep her quiet. Besides, she asked me how I felt when we were taking a shower before." "Wait a minute, Aling is still asking you this kind of thing in Kyo?" "It's just a girl's curiosity." Tianhai Kaimingyu didn't care. "How did you answer in July? Answer truthfully." Sakakihara Raku, Big heart. July's heart is too big. To be able to talk about this kind of thing to Suzu, Sakakibara Raku felt goosebumps all over his body when he thought about his sister smiling hey hey to himself when she thought of something happening in the future. Tianhai Kaimingyu crossed her arms and said, "Just look at it openly. Everyone knows the relationship between us. Suzue knows what is going on. There is no need to make such things so hidden and obscure. Let's talk openly. On the contrary, it's more natural." "Why is it natural? Think about it, can Sister Chan not know about your affairs tonight?" "There is some truth to that. But Sakakibara Raku is worried that Sakakibara Suzu will tease him no matter what happens in the future. She would definitely say such incomprehensible words as brother, I couldn't do it last night, even Sister Kyo couldn't hold it up, brother Zeu. Wait, it seems she has already said it." Sakakibara slapped his forehead, suddenly feeling that his status as elder brother in this family did not have the dignity that an elder brother should have. "It's just a wall away, Suzu-chan. You're not eavesdropping all the time, right?" Tianhaijuli Yulai suddenly realized something. Sakakibara looked over and said, "How can Suzu be so outrageous?" Tianhai Kaimingyu acted lightly, "It's normal, it doesn't matter. After all, I have reached this age, just like my sister who is often curious and secretly asks me how I feel. Where can I have it? Sister, don't lie. If you lie, sister will be punished. You can only listen by the bed and watch." "July you. That's too much." Sakakihara Raku stood aside and couldn't say anything at all. "Are the topics in this area already so open at home?" No, we have to change the topic." No. Stop talking about this and let's talk about the new year. I wonder if it will snow in December this year." If it snows, do you want to go out and have fun or something? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 503. Good morning everyone. Today is Thursday, December 23rd, Thursday, currently 7:01 Tokyo time. Tokyo received its first snowfall of the year today, marking the first time in a decade that it has snowed 2 consecutive years. The weather is relatively cold during the day, with heavy snowfall. The highest temperature remains around 0 degrees, and the lowest temperature may drop to around -5 degrees. In general, today's weather conditions are not very good, but it is worth going out to see the snow. It is recommended that citizens take measures to keep warm when going out, and be careful that there may be snow and ice on the road. It's snowing this year too. The weather forecast in the living room was still lingering in his ears. Hearing Ruri's sigh, Sakakibara stood on the balcony and couldn't help but raise his head and look at the falling snow over Tokyo. On a bright snowy day, white snowflakes fall from the clouds, gently covering everything in the city. It is so beautiful that it is beyond words. Sakakibara's eyes were focused and calm. Through the falling snowflakes, he seemed to see the rows of buildings in the city, the street trees covered in silver, and the prosperous streets that were more distant and lively than before. Besides, the New Year is only 7 days away. Does Li Yulai have any special New Year's wishes? New Year's wish? Does it count that I hope Lejun is healthy and safe? Tianhaijuli Yulai turned around. Sakakihara looked into her bright sky blue eyes and couldn't help but smile. Doesn't this coincide with your birthday wish, Ruri? Tianhaijuli Yulai put her warm gloved hands behind her back, reached out to touch the falling snowflakes, faced the sky and smiled lightly. It's good to overlap. It means that there is no burden or worries in the heart, and I am seeking happiness. It is also the easiest way to maintain the status quo. Then Li Yulai must have some small wishes, right? It's finally the new year. If you have any requests or opinions, you can definitely express them to me, my brother. Tianhaijuli Yulai chuckled. Does Lejun like playing pretending games so much? What is a pretending game? Judging from the facts, Li Yulai is also my adopted sister. But we don't get along like siblings at all. As for my little wish. Tianhaijuli Yulai held his chin and thought seriously. Yes. What is it? It's time for Lejun to practice his gaming skills. Now he can't beat me at all. He used to fight me back and forth. This one. Otherwise. Now Yuki is playing games with me, and neither Ling nor Kyo can beat me. What a simple little wish. However, Yuki has been able to fight Li Yulai back and forth. Sakakibara remembered that when he was taking care of her a while ago, he gave her a Switch, and she only learned about video games. Yuki is very talented and learns everything very quickly, Tianhaijuli replied, secretly glancing at Sakakibara Raku for some reason. Of course, it's also because Raku-kun has been taking care of me and Kyo recently. Her time can only be lost to guitars and game consoles. It's not that Sakakihara Raku couldn't understand Ruri's hint. Luli wants me to take more time to care about Yuki. Yet Tianhaijuli Yulai nodded normally and silently. Didn't Lejun take Yuki to buy clothes last time? I saw her happy for a long time. She would also look at the clothes Lejun gave her for a while before going to bed. When I secretly discover these, I can always see my own shadow in Yuki. Are you longing for love? Well, didn't Lejun say before that everyone in the family lacks love? It is precisely because of this emotion that we get together and live together like this. Tianhaijuli Yulai paused. Then, we have been together for such a period of time recently, and now I understand Yuki's feelings for Lejun better. I even admire Yuki's feelings, just like I used to have intense feelings, but it was difficult to express them for various reasons. More needless to say, she will maintain this emotion for the rest of her life and keep watching over Lejun. She will not appear when she is not needed. If she is needed, she will come over immediately. Such a topic is very heavy. After listening to this, Sakakibara looked up at the falling snow for a while and said calmly, "The bells are actually about the same." Tianhaijuli Yulai also paused for a second. Of course, Lejun, this is just what I think of from the perspective of a bystander. In my opinion, it is a bit sad and distressed, but as far as the current situation is concerned, everyone is having a good time, going to school together every morning, and going to school every night. Let's eat together and sit on the sofa together and watch a movie when we have time. Not long ago, Lejun also prepared a surprise birthday party for Kyo and me. We were really happy for a long time. June looks silly in a skirt, and everyone is happy. Amamai Kuruuri's description made Sakakihara laugh uncontrollably. It's just a skirt. Chi-Chi and Aling recently wanted me to wear it again for everyone to see, and they kept praising me for how cute it was when I put it on. It's true, Lejun is quite cute. Yuki, I will definitely pay more attention to her. The two of them were silent at the same time, neither continuing the topic just now. By the way, have you thought about how Lejun will celebrate the new year? Think about it. What is it? I'll talk to you all over breakfast. Then let's go make breakfast for everyone now. Okay. By the way, Lejun hasn't agreed to my New Year's wish yet. Sakakihara Raku, it's not the New Year yet. Asterisk. Eggs, vegetable salad, milk. In addition to these regular dishes for breakfast, Sakakihara Suzu yawned sleepily and discovered that there were dumplings to eat today. Where can I buy handmade dumplings? They look pretty good. The ones made by my mother are so ugly. It should be said that she can't make them at all. Tianhai Kaimingyu scrolled through the messages on her phone and replied without looking up, "Brother made it by himself last night. Knowing that you and Yuki like to eat beef, he also specially made beef filling. So careful." Suzu Sakakihara took a few photos of dumplings and casually posted them to her millions of followers on Twitter. Caption: "The breakfast dumplings made by my brother were made by himself at night. Even before I ate them, I knew they were super delicious. It looks very good." Putting down her phone, Sakakibara Suzu cheerfully poked her head towards Amamai Nazuki, who also hadn't woken up, and said, "Hehe, Yuki is very lucky. The dumplings made by my brother are super delicious. The food outside and the Chinese food are not on the same level as my brother. Anyway, I have never tasted anything better than my brother's. Delicious dumplings, but I don't know why he doesn't want to make them." "What are dumplings?" "Yuki, you haven't eaten it," Sakakihara Suzu blinked. Tianhai's Hixia shook her head drowsily and rubbed her eyes. "No. Yuki. I envy you so much." Tianhai's Hixia was sluggish for a few seconds and didn't understand. "I don't understand what Ling said." "Yuki actually has so many delicious food that he has never tried. Sometimes I really wish I could forget the taste of all the delicious food and eat all the things I like to eat again. Absolutely amazing. Yuki is tired of your nagging, please let me go." Raku Sakakibara placed a bowl of steaming dumplings in front of Amamai Nazuki. "Why do you want to eat them every day?" Sakakihara Suzu didn't take his words seriously, but smiled and touched her belly. "Brother, what did you tell me before? It seems to be right, it's a blessing to be able to eat, right? Hehe, I won't do it now. Is it particularly edible? You're so fat. After all, you're a famous idol, but you don't know how to manage your figure." "What, ugh." Sakakibara Suzu stretched out her hands and lay down on the dining table in a daze. When she heard this, she became even more angry and her face became rounder. "I can only eat good food when I'm with my brother. My manager won't let me eat anything, and he won't let me buy it when I see an odin on the roadside, saying it's not good to eat, fat. And then they ask me to think about my identity, saying that I can't just eat roadside snacks. Tian Haikimingyu put down her mobile phone at this time. Sister Zhang really needs to pay attention to her identity when she is outside. Is it so troublesome? Trouble. Maybe you will have your own paparazzi watching you in the future, hoping to get some big news out of you. Raku Sakakihara took over. Sakakihara Suzu folded her hands and leaned on the dining table, smiling and looking at him. Hey, is it big news that I am a brother controller? This rhetorical question confused Sakakihara Rakuten for a moment. This girl, is she so unconcerned about this matter? Barely one Tian Haikimingyu replied lightly. Why is it forced? Sakakihara Suzu asked. Because your fans have already surmised that you are a brother-in-law, they just barely admit it. Believe it or not. Tian Haikimingyu gave her an eye roll and said, open your Twitter. What's wrong with Twitter? Suzu Sakakihara fumbled in her pocket for a while, took out her phone and opened Twitter to take a look. The dumpling breakfast update posted 6 minutes ago already has hundreds of comments and thousands of likes. Take another look at the message. Sakakihara Suzu immediately felt something was wrong. Because many people in the comment area are saying, is it really so delicious? Ling comes to show off her brother again. 10 updates, excluding work, the remaining 8 are all about brother. It's my brother's control, it's definitely my brother's control. The photos of sports cars that Ling posted before, was it a gift from your brother? Is it so obvious? Sakakihara knocked her on the head. No matter what the conclusion is, you have to restrain yourself and make less updates. Sakakibara Suzu touched her head and muttered, I am sharing my daily life. My manager has said that I can post this often. If I have nothing to do, I can post a selfie or something. I don't have much content to share. Taking selfies is too narcissistic. Why don't I have to share the dishes you cooked? You share, why do you still include me in your posts every day? Otherwise, Sakakibara Suzuki raised her face, can I still have the audacity to say that I cooked those dishes myself? Ailing, aren't you so shameless? Damn it! Bastard Lele, what are you talking about? Haha. I won't talk to you anymore, I'm going to serve dumplings. Oh. Wait. I haven't finished speaking yet. Brother, why is this scarf so ugly? Who bought it for you? It's not aesthetically pleasing at all. Sister Kyo, why are you staring at me? Asterisk. The dumplings were cooked in just a few minutes. None of them like spicy food very much, and no one eats the red oil dumplings. Only Suzu, Sakakihara Raku, found some relief in Suzu. She loved eating this stuff as much as she did, so he gave her a big spoonful of oil-splashed chili. Chi-Chi looked at it and frowned. No matter what Liuli told her, she wouldn't want it, just put some oil in it to improve the taste. Yuki doesn't seem to want to eat so many chili peppers either. I'm the only one who understands your taste, brother, right? That's true. So tell me quickly. Among these people, you are the one who loves me the most. Okay, I love you, can I give you 3 more dumplings? Awesome. Bro, I love you too. Alas, this girl Ling only talks about love so excitedly when she is nice to her. Yuki Liuli was not enough to eat, so I went to cook some more. Then Chi-Chu didn't have enough to eat, so I simply cooked another pot. Ling was so happy and kept talking about how it had been such a refreshing breakfast for a long time. The atmosphere of this breakfast was quite good, and everyone seemed to like the dumplings they made. Everyone was so happy eating, and I felt quite accomplished. You, Lauguo. Sakakibara frowned and interrupted, eat your food before you talk. Sakakibara Suzu swallowed hard the unfinished dumplings and almost choked. She quickly drank 2 more mouthfuls of water before continuing to speak. Didn't I say that the new year is coming? Brother, what are your arrangements? I happen to be on holiday these days, so I can't miss this opportunity. Well, just stay at home. It's good for everyone to be together. Hey. What? This is too boring, okay. Sakakibara raised his eyes and said, isn't it good to stay at home? We can also eat together with my uncle and mother. No. It's snowing again this year. Now of course we should go out to see the snow scenery together. I have already thought of the place. Let's go to Hokkaido. No matter how you look at it, this is a place that this girl came up with on the spur of the moment. How about I'm in Tokyo? I'll go say hello to the old man by the way. No, 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 Tokyo is such a shabby place. I'm tired of staying there. I climb the ski every day and pass by Tokyo Tower every day. I don't know what the point of so many tourists coming to see that shabby Tokyo Tower is. Tianhaiju really took over and said, Ling-chan, people from Hokkaido still want to come to Tokyo to visit. That's their business, not my business as a Tokyoite. Sakakibara raised his eyebrows, who are you from Tokyo, girl? Kyo, Ruri, and Yuki are the ones. Sakakihara Suzu argued rationally, I came here when I was 5 years old. Anyway, it counts as half. Anyway, I'm tired of staying in Tokyo, it's not interesting. As Ling said, I am really tired of staying in Tokyo. We have visited all the scenic spots, parks, museums, university campuses, etc. She was very happy when she came to Tokyo as a child, knowing that it was an international metropolis with many people. Probably the so-called traveling is to go from a place where you are tired of staying to a place where others are tired of staying. So, bro, what are your plans for the new year? Realizing that everyone was paying attention to him, Raku Sakakihara coughed twice and deliberately gave up before saying, go to Hokkaido. Brother, you stole my idea. We're going to Hokkaido to see the snow and go skating. This is something I've thought about for a long time. And we're going there on a motorcycle. Silence fell. Sakakibara observed the 4 people on the table strangely. What? No. Tianhaijuli Yulai forced a smile and said, okay, but Lejun, this is winter, isn't it too cold? Yes. It's too cold. Brother doesn't know how to consider the actual situation. When Sakakibara heard everyone's objections, he bravely asked Minazuki, who was about to finish the second bowl of dumplings, what do you think of Yuki? Tianhaizhigsu slowly raised her head, looked at him slowly, with a very plain expression, and said quietly, just be happy to make the decision. Look. Yuki agrees. Brother. What a shame. You are bullying Yuki to only listen to you. Raku Sakakibara muttered, I have arranged the route. We can also spend Christmas in Sapporo or something in the middle, and then go all the way north to soak in the natural hot springs at Lake Kushiro. No, wait, bro, what did you say? A hot spring? Or is it natural? Yes, the entire lake seems to be close to the volcano, and the open-air hot spring behind it is hot even in winter. Then we can buy a bunch of delicious things and go camping over there, and find a hot spring on the mountain. Admiring the moon, and having a camping barbecue in the snowy scenery. If you take the tram back, you have to walk up the mountain. The drive of several hours is exhausting. Sakakihara Suzu. Tianhaikimingyu frowned and looked at her, Sister Chan won't be tempted, right? Ha 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 ha. Actually, Sister Kyo, if you ride a motorcycle there, as long as you wear thick clothes, it doesn't matter, ha ha. Sister Liulai, what do you think? Yugai Tianhaikimingyu rubbed her temples with a headache. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 504. After breakfast, Sakakibara took out the map and told everyone about the itinerary planned in advance. We set off from Tokyo in the afternoon of the first day and went straight to Takasaki, and then from Takasaki to Niigata. Sakakihara Suzu was confused when she heard the names of many cities she had to pass through. It's so troublesome. Ailing, please be serious, be careful if we keep driving, you might get lost if you don't. It's not that outrageous. I'm very good at driving. Nanami carefully examined the route map given by Sakakibara Raku, so, according to the plan, the areas we are going to pass are Takasaki, Niigata, Tsuruoka, Akita, and Aomori. We will arrive in Aomori within 4 days, and then take the ferry to shore, go to Hakodate, then pass through Sapporo, Asahikawa, and finally arrive at Obihiro, and head to Lake Kushiro on the 6th day, right? Chi-Chi is still smart. You idiot, a Ling should learn from it. Slightly Sakakihara Suzu responded with a grimace. Lejun made very detailed arrangements this time. Tianhai Julie Yulai looked at the route map and blinked. Learn a lesson, we didn't arrange it so carefully last time. Also, let me tell you, I told my mother that we are going to Hokkaido in the new year. Suzu Sakakihara asked curiously, Mom doesn't agree. No, besides, if we leave, how will my mother and uncle celebrate the new year at home? So my mother also plans to fly to Sapporo within 3 days before the new year after work is over. So, can't we meet Mom and the others when we get to Hokkaido? We can also go skiing together? We don't have to come back to celebrate the new year. Sakakihara smiled and nodded, that's it? That's good. Tianhai Kaimingyu also nodded, if you don't have to come back, then you will have plenty of time. Tianhai Julie Yulai, if you don't come back, Grandpa and Grandma Lejun will still have to call and express condolences. It's natural. After chatting here, everyone unanimously determined the route of the motorcycle riding tour. Sakakihara Raku plans to introduce the detailed arrangements. Oh, brother, you don't have to go to so much trouble to explain so much. Just tell us how far we have reached our destination on the first day, and then how far it is. I prefer to play wherever we go. See where you feel comfortable, just stay for a while, this kind of travel is free and interesting. What Aling said makes sense. We'll probably go to Niigata on the first day. In terms of distance, it's 1,571 kilometers in total. It takes about 25 hours to drive continuously. The actual journey is roughly 2 days, which means we have 5 full days of travel time. More than 1,500 kilometers. So far. That's Hokkaido, you idiot Suzu. Is it going to be very cold? Tianhai Kaimingyu rolled her eyes and said, why are you talking about this now? Tianhai's Higsu naturally has no objections. She will go wherever everyone goes. So, the New Year's motorcycle ride to Hokkaido was decided. Sakakihara Raku had to admit that with Suzu's help, the plan would be implemented much more smoothly. The rest of the morning was spent packing, and the afternoon was spent purchasing various tents and special supplies needed for camping. While buying camping equipment in the supermarket, Sakakibara Suzu approached Sakakibara Raku and smiled. What? Brother? Say something quickly. I want to change to a car this time. The pedal I drove last time was so boring. The car can't outrun you, and all your luggage is piled here, brother, so I have to follow you all the time. Brother, you and sisters Kiyo are enjoying the speed, while I can only sit behind and eat the exhaust. Brother, don't you think this is not interesting enough? Tianhai Julie Yulai, who was holding a small gas tank in his hand, looked over and said, Lingjiang is right, the equipment should be upgraded. After all, this is still a winter ride, and comfort is the most important. I'll stop by later. Let's go to the Force store, we also need to buy some professional winter riding equipment. Right, bro, sister Li Yulai said so. By the way, buy me a new one. Sakakibara looked very strange. You girl, it's not like you don't have money, so just buy it if you want. I want you to deliver it. Why? Brother, you are right. I bought a car myself, how could my brother give me a car that would be more comfortable? Sister Jong wants to send her tweet to tell her fans that her brother loves her very much and bought her a good motorcycle. Tian Haikimingyu stood in front of the supermarket shelves, checking the large items in her hands. Power flashlight. Go, go, go. I didn't let Sister Kyo speak. I see. It's not impossible. Really? Does that car count as the first gift you gave me in the new year, bro? It turns out this girl wants a new year gift. It just so happened that for her birthday not long ago, he didn't prepare as many surprises as he did for Kiju and bought her a car, which was considered as compensation for her. Asterisk. After visiting the camping supplies store in the afternoon, everyone went to the place where they bought motorcycles. The salesperson who had served several people before was still here. As soon as he saw them arriving, he immediately welcomed them warmly. Li Yulai, Kyo, and Zhixu went to the clothing area to buy winter cycling clothes. It won't work without thickening. It's really cold on the motorcycle. Brother, I want this car. Sakakibara took a look, and what Suzuki was pointing at was the most conspicuous red, blue and white motorcycle in the store, BMW's M1000RR. Isn't this the sports car that Aling fell in love with last time? This was not the first time Raku Sakakibara came into contact with motorcycles. He knew what kind of thing this was. It was very powerful. If this girl Suzu suddenly lost control and drove at a speed of 299 plus per hour on the highway, even the gods would not be able to save her. No. Sakakibara Suzu pouted and turned to look at another car, then this one. GSX 1000? No. This one. Honda Fireblade? No. This one. I say Aling, don't always choose large displacement motorcycles, or this kind of Samo, it's really scary to drive. After being rejected by her brother several times in a row, Sakakibara Suzu felt a little unhappy. But she didn't say much. This made Sakakibara Raku very concerned. Suzu was naughty, but she was also very obedient. The main reason for not satisfying her is for her safety. Even though I had been in her car last time, I knew that her skills were very good and her driving was very stable. Even if she drove at a high speed, she was still on a wide road with no people around. Ahem. Aling, I didn't mean to dissatisfy you. Know it? Sakakibara Raku felt quite distressed when Asuing remained silent and looked aggrieved. When she was disciplined by him in the past, she was so aggrieved, but what was different from the past was that she now learned to be obedient. Instead, I wanted to be nicer to her. Sakakibara tried to think of a solution, looked around in the store, and finally set his sights on a big guy. This car is quite handsome. How about that? Sakakibara Suzu looked over, quite curious. Compared with the petite Samo just now, this car is larger and more textured. There is a kind of hardcore mechanical handsomeness. What type of car is that? The salesman immediately came over and explained, the top-end ADV of the BMW GS series is an adventure vehicle that combines off-roading and leisure travel. What's the displacement? Sakakibara Suzu asked. 1250, 136 horsepower. Hearing this number, Sakakibara Suzu looked back at Sakakibara Raku and muttered, is this okay? This is acceptable. Didn't you say you won't let me ride a powerful horse? Well, it's okay to ride it once in a while. Sakakibara Suzu looked at his face and finally understood. Duplicitous brother, if I feel sorry for you, just say it. Still squirming. Proud. Upon hearing that Sakakibara Suzu was interested in this BMW Big Water Bird, The salesperson stood beside the BMW R1250 GSADV and introduced it seriously. This car has many more functions, such as riding mode adjustment, cruise control, and handheld, put the heat on. Wait, what kind of black technology is hand heating? After being introduced by the salesperson, Sakakibara tried the hand-operated heating thing and it was so hot. He can guarantee that winter riding will be extremely useful. Cruise control is also very useful. It stabilizes the vehicle speed within a range, so that driving will not be so tiring and the palm muscles will relax. Then there are many small functions such as braking, shock absorption, and various modes. The more Sakakihara Suzu listened to it, the more she liked it. She walked around this big guy and wanted to buy it more and more. Sakakihara Raku was listening to the salesperson's introduction on the other side, and he also wanted to change to another car for no reason. After all, no matter how cold his body was, no matter how hard his head was, and his clothes and helmet were blocking his hands, it was really freezing. Sakakihara Suzu was very happy to see it, and patted the dark motorcycle chassis behind her. Then let's take this one. Ms. Sakakibara, are you sure? Sakakibara Suzu turned her head and looked at Sakakibara Raku. Sakakihara Raku had no objection. Okay. But I still have to remind you, Suzu, this bike is very tall, and you won't be able to fully land your feet when you ride on it. It's okay, it's okay. My skills are very good, I can get off the car sideways. If it still doesn't work, wear more height-increasing shoes. Then after you buy it, you have to ride more slowly. I know. Because they are all old customers, they have gone through the procedures before through relationships. So after paying the money, you can get the license in an hour and ride away immediately. After buying a new car, Sakakihara Suzu was very happy, and the little grievance she had suffered just now disappeared. She was looking around her new car excitedly and wanted to go out for a test drive now. Brother, can I give you a ride? Arriving outdoors, Suzu put on her helmet and protective gear, and Raku Sakakihara watched her ride on her BMW Big Bird. To be honest, Aling is small in stature, but with such a big guy, there is a sense of contrast, and she is extremely handsome. Her car is really handsome. It seems that after she rides on it, her toes can touch the ground. Take me? Are you sure? Suzu Sakakihara patted the chassis in front of her and said with a smile under her helmet, "Come on, brother, you gave me the car after all, why don't I take you for a spin? Come on up." Raku Sakakibara took one step and got on his sister's motorcycle. Suzu Sakakibara couldn't hold her steady, and the big water bird almost reversed the car on the spot. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and put all her strength on her right leg, barely stabilizing herself. "Ailing, can you do it? Don't go out and kill your brother." "Hey, it's a mistake, it's just a mistake." "Brother, are you seated?" "Okay. Then I'll light the fire." "Just order it." After hearing her brother's reply, Suzu Sakakihara squeezed the clutch and turned on the ignition. Boom boom boom. An inspiring sound. The engine with a displacement of 1250 is different. Just by listening to the sound, Sakakihara can tell that the horsepower of this thing is terrifying. "Wait a minute, Aling, please slow down and don't jump out as soon as you pull the accelerator. This is different from your previous car." I know, then I'll go to the head office in the first gear." "Don't go too far in first gear. This car can go over 100 an hour in first gear, right?" "Absolutely." "Sit down, brother." Suzu Sakakihara turned the accelerator with her right hand and said "woohoo," before driving the motorcycle out of the Ford's shop and into the urban streets. It's a bit cold sitting on the back seat of a motorcycle on a snowy day. This girl's skills seem to be really good. She is obviously a little over 16 meters tall with short legs, but she can ride this big guy back and forth in the streets with her brother. This car is so fun to drive. It's much more fun than the small pedal I had before, ha ha ha. She's almost becoming a crazy girl. Sakakibara was behind her, and he could clearly feel her excitement after getting a new motorcycle. The speed also gradually climbed up. Slower. How do you feel? After the test drive, Suzu Sakakibara took off her helmet, her face full of excitement. She patted 3 BMWs of her size next to her, and replied to Sakakibara with a stinking look on her face. After riding this, I can only describe my brother's bike and sister Liulai's bike like this, they are all chicks. It's so cool. And this bike has heated handlebars, which is super cool. Is it really that powerful? Sakakibara didn't believe in evil and tried to ride a Suzu's car. How do you describe this feeling after riding it? The Honda CBR 400 I rode in the past was really a chick. Moreover, not only is this big guy a ling handsome, he can also carry 3 saddlebags. Isn't it much better than his bad imitation? Touching the shiny oil tank paint of this motorcycle is as fond as touching my wife's thigh. No, he really likes this car. Aling's car is absolutely fun to drive on the highway. Really envious. I think I like it too, but it's a pity, this is mine. Look at your stinky little girl. Do you believe that your brother bought that BMW you liked at first? Suzu Sakakibara hugged the helmet and said indifferently, yeah, I'll buy it, I like this big guy even more now. He is really a guy who likes the new and hates the old. But, having said that, since Aling has changed cars, do you want to change cars with Liulai? For motorcycle tours in winter, heated hand grips are a must-have. How about discussing with Liulai and changing into one before going out? About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 505. It turns out, Aling's new car was very popular. When Liulai came back from the other side of the Ford store, she saw the big guy next to her and couldn't help but ran over curiously and looked around. Liulai must know a lot about motorcycles, and Aling is a bad girl. Seeing how knowledgeable Liulai is, bragging makes her extremely happy. Sakakibara told Ruri about the idea of changing cars, and she quite agreed. It really should be upgraded. After all, the motorcycles they are riding now belong to the Samo with a particularly low handlebar position. It will be very uncomfortable to ride on long journeys, and people in the back seat will have sore butts after sitting for a long time. It was quite painful to sit in the back last time in July, even though the journey was not long. By the way, you can ride a motorcycle in July, right? How? We will meet in July, Tianhai Yulai interjected from the side. Didn't we take the motorcycle driver's license test together in July last time? That's easy. How about you drive a car together in July? This trip is longer and longer, and naturally we have more luggage than last time. The car for 3 people simply couldn't carry that much luggage, so Sakakibara discussed letting Kyo drive a car together. If you drive 4 cars together, you can carry a lot of stuff. Bring blankets, quilts, sleeping bags, etc. So it's time to buy a new car again, this time 3 more. Sakakibara and others went around the Ford's shop again and finalized 2 new cars for him and Liulai. Liulai seems to be a fan of Kawasaki and still chose this manufacturer. She bought a station wagon, Kawasaki Versys 1000, black and green. Sakakibara changed into a Suzuki SUV, GSX 1000 GT, with red and black colors. What kind of person do you like in July? I'm really looking forward to seeing you driving a motorcycle in July. What's so strange about this? Please try to imagine this scene. In July, you are wearing a helmet and a close-fitting cycling jersey, and then your long legs are on the ground, leaning against a motorcycle in a chic way. Sounds good. So what car are you going to choose in July? Harley. Harley. Sakaki Hararaku never expected that the person he chose in July would actually like his uncle's motorcycle, an American cruise motorcycle. Generally, this kind of car is also called a prince car because the driving posture looks like that of a rich man. It is characterized by a low sitting posture and extremely high handlebars. Some people even raise their handles higher than their heads to exaggerate. The accident was a bit unexpected, but after a test drive in July and trying it on with the helmet on, he felt it looked pretty cool. I just always feel like this car has a Ghost Rider feel to it. A new car was bought, and cycling equipment and camping equipment were fully prepared. Everyone gathered on time on the path below the apartment building at 7 o'clock in the morning the next day. The small convoy of 5 people is officially ready to set off. Sakaki Haro looked back at the 3 motorcycles behind him. The 4 beautiful girls put on their helmets and gloves and stretched out their hands to signal. Aling. Check your luggage. Okay. Check completed. Check the saddlebags are locked. Okay. It's locked. Why should I carry so much luggage? Who told you that this guy is riding a BMW and a big water bird? Is the gas filled? Okay. It's been filled up already. Helmet. Okay. Put it on. Okay, everything is ready, now let me roll your names. Sakaki Hara Suzu. Here, Sakaki Hara Suzu, who was on the right side of Sakaki Hararaku, smiled and was the first to raise her hand with a smile. The motorcycle beneath her was extremely large, which made her look petite and cute on the seat. Tianhai Jululi. Here we go. Tianhai Juli Yulai, who was driving a black and green Kawasaki motorcycle in the rear left direction, responded with a smile. Snow in the sky and sea. Here Amami no Yuki poked her head out of the back seat of Sakaki Hara Suzu. 7 bright moons in the sky and sea. I don't understand the meaning of this shouting. 7 bright moons in the sky and sea. 7 bright moons in the sky and sea. Tianhai Kaimingyu said helplessly, it's here. That's right. Sakaki Hara held the right handle with one hand, smiled in his helmet and faced the heavily armed people behind him. Momentum. What we need before setting off is momentum. Brother is right. What we need is the momentum of the team. Suzu Sakaki Hara tried her best to enhance the atmosphere. Applause, applause. Tianhai Kaimingyu pinched her eyebrows with a headache. These 2 guys were still in the 2nd grade like last time. Didn't they learn to be more mature? This is called agelessness and eternal youth, July. You make it sound like you are dozens of years old. Including the previous life, there are so many. Then why are you still so average? I have said it all, this is called immortality. The same goes for traveling. Flying is so boring. To go there, you just need to drive your own car, feel the freedom and wind, and reach the final destination. Raku Sakaki Hara smiled as he faced the first ray of sunshine rising on the Tokyo skyline. Human, you have to leave as soon as you say it, like today, only then can you be free and happy. Suddenly, under the glare of the sun, he raised his right hand. I announce, for the 2nd time. Wait, Aling, what is our team called? It's fried ice cream. Amami no Yuki poked her head out from behind Sakaki Hara Suzu. Yes, yes. Yuki actually remembers fried ice cream. Brother is just stupid. Tianhai Juli Yulai was also laughing. Lejun can't even match Yuki's memory. Okay. I announce again that the 2nd motorcycle trip of the deep fried ice cream team is officially underway. Oh yeah. Set off. Set off. He opened his helmet and took a deep breath. The coldness of the winter morning air instantly filled his lungs. With a command, Sakaki Hara was the first to ignite the engine, and the engine roared. He told everyone to follow up, turned the accelerator, and started to move forward. Sakakihara Suzu started the engine and followed closely with Tenkai Yuki. Then the heavily armed Tianhai Juli Yulai and Tianhai Kaimingyu drove onto the city roads one after another with heavy tires. In the busy traffic, the smooth paint surfaces of the motorcycles in the convoy collectively reflected the first ray of light under the blue clouds. After driving for half an hour, with Raku Sakakihara taking the lead, the convoy entered the overpass leaving Tokyo. This is a section of road that has never been driven before. Raku Sakakibara saw the sun that had just risen in the east, and also saw the little snowflakes that were illuminated by the sun and fell from the clear blue sky, not yet completely melted. Raku Sakakihara looked up at the extremely white clouds. The weather was extremely beautiful, and he was in a good mood. Then he glanced in the right rearview mirror at the people following him looking at the small convoy. Sakakibara thought to himself, this is probably one of the joys of traveling, right? Asterisk. Takasaki City is an urban area within Gunma Prefecture. If you want to say what it is famous for, it is probably that Shibuya City next door is particularly famous. Because that place has Fujiwara Tofu Shop and AE86. As for Chiumingshan, it is very strange that Mount Akina is obviously closer to Shibuya City, but it falls under the jurisdiction of Takasaki City. The existence of Akina Mountain in Shibuya next door has led to considerable economic and tourism development. This is probably also a kind of NTR. Jokai City can't be said to be too developed, but the scenery is really good, and the scenery along the way is meandering. It is only 160 kilometers away from downtown Tokyo, and a few people can ride here in 3 hours. Suzu Sakakihara insisted on going to see Mount Akina, and this happened to be on her way, so she followed her for a drive to Mount Haruna, the prototype of Mount Akina. The curves here are really dangerous. There are also many people here who come here because of the name of Chiuming Mountain. The people taking pictures nearby are clearly visible. Sakakihara even saw several AE86s at the station at the foot of the mountain. Several people stopped at the foot of the mountain and looked at the sign on the roadside. Here is a panoramic view of the famous bend in Haruna Mountain, where the legendary drainage canal bend should have taken place. Ho ho! Brother, I also want to be a car god. Do you want to compete to see who can go up the mountain first? Wake up, didn't you see the speed limit 40 on the warning sign? The speed limit is 40? It's impossible. Wait, it's true. The speed limit in Chiumingshan is 40, so what will the future car god do? Tianhai Kaimingyu pointed to the traffic police hall in front. There happened to be a few cars in front that were stopped by the traffic police. The traffic police took a small notebook to write down notes. Those people with fancy hair were piled together, as if they were facing the traffic police. He was trying his best to explain something. No, your car god. Sakakibara Suzu looked over, the god of cars. My god of cars has been arrested. Tianhai Juli Yulai thought for a while and replied, there are probably all traffic police here now. I heard that at least a dozen police officers are on duty at the same time on this curve. It would be strange not to be caught if you want to be a car god here. Sakakibara Rakuten reached out and patted Sakakihara Suzu on the shoulder. Wake up, Suzu, Akina Mountain has been occupied by the traffic police, and there will no longer be a car god here. Why is it like this? The few people drove up the mountain at a speed of 40 yards, and then went to take a look at Haruna Lake behind Haruna Mountain. The lake is filled with green clouds, which is very beautiful. Several people left photos here, which counts as a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. At noon, we ate some tofu at a Fujiwara tofu shop. Suzu Sakakibara commented, it's not as delicious as the one made by my brother. Then everyone went to the gas station to refuel and continued their journey. The scenery along the way is mostly rural villages. The house is low and has a wide view. Although it is a village, it is also covered with wires and is very modern. If you want to find that kind of old-fashioned village in Japan, You probably have to go to the mountains among the mountains. After riding for another 4 hours, at 8 p.m., the group arrived on an unknown mountain road in Niigata Prefecture. I don't know what went wrong with the navigation, and Sakakibara led me to the wrong route. Originally I was going to the city at this time, but I didn't expect that I would have to stay in the mountains. Brother is not reliable anymore. Sister Liuli, how about we drive again and go to the city? Let's see what Lejun says. Raku Sakakihara stood beside the dark mountain road, holding up his phone and looking for a GPS signal. However, this is some kind of wilderness, and the GPS doesn't even have a signal. Sakakibara returned to the crowd and shrugged, indicating that he couldn't leave today. It's too cold to drive at night. It's better to find an open space and pitch a tent now. Besides, everyone is hungry after driving all afternoon. It's time to eat and rest. Driving while fatigued combined with driving in the dark is too dangerous. No one has an opinion. Sakakihara Suzu and Amami Nazuki were even more hungry and agreed to take a break. As soon as I started a fire with a lighter, the temperature in the mountains had already reached -5 degrees. White mist could be spit out with just a slight opening of my mouth, and countless snowflakes were floating in the dark sky. Sakakibara Suzu wrapped her thick scarf around and kept rubbing her hands, and came to Sakakibara Raku, who was making a fire to cook, happily. Brother, if you have something to do, leave it quickly. What are you going to eat tonight? What do you want to eat? Is there any steak on the grill? Sakakibara's eyes widened at that time. I still want to eat grilled steak. Why didn't you say you wanted to eat roasted whole lamb? Hey, are you hungry? Let me give you a pat on the back, brother. Why does your girl's speaking style look so much like Beiji's? Brother is replaced by master, there is no sense of violation at all. It's useless for you to give me a hammer. I was supposed to go to the city to resupply today, but at noon, Aling, you said you wanted to go see AE-86, so go ahead, but this time was delayed. Then you were directed to the wrong location. Just instant noodles tonight. Are there any side dishes? I'm starving. I want to fill my stomach first. Sakakibara pushed back a can of beef behind him. Ah! I saw it. Give it to me quickly. Okay, brother, you actually want to take it for yourself. Don't. That's for the 4 of you to eat together. Don't finish it secretly, you girl. The 3 people sitting by the fire chatting on the other side saw the 2 brothers and sisters chasing each other, reflected by the swaying bonfire. Asterisk. After finishing the instant noodles, Sakakibara packed up the picnic tools and prepared to go back to the tent to sleep. The temperature is getting colder and colder, and there are occasional cold winds in the mountains and forests. It is really unbearable to stay outside. It's over. It's over. It's over, it's over. What? Sakakihara Raku looked next to Sakakihara Suzu. She was flipping through her luggage beside the car. I forgot my sleeping bag. Sakakibara covered his head and said, You guy. This is an important matter. You must know that the temperature is -5 degrees without a sleeping bag. I brought several blankets, Tianhai Yuli said. At this temperature, the blanket is not enough, Tianhai Kaimingyu directly asserted, white air drifting upwards as he spoke. Sakakihara Suzu's voice became much softer when she spoke. What should I do? Do I have to stay up all night tonight? Well, if he had known about Aling's careless character, he should have checked her carefully before setting off. This is also the reason why I didn't pay much attention to it. Aling, you can sleep on mine. No, brother, what are you going to do? Stay outside by the fire and stay up all night? That's not okay, isn't it? It's so cold outside the tent. Tianhai Kaimingyu said seriously, I can't stay outside the tent anyway, no matter whether I sleep or not. Yeah, it's too cold outside, and we have to drive tomorrow. Actually, brother, it seems that I am missing too. You girl. Several people argued over the solution. Tianhai's Higgs-Yu, who had been watching for a long time, suddenly spoke and interjected. Then let's all sleep together. In silence, everyone looked at each other. Asterisk. How to arrange this? Sakaki Harasuzu asked. The answer given by Tianhai Kaimingyu was simple: you and Yuki go to sleep in sleeping bags, and my sister and I will accompany my brother. Huh. It's so cheap for you three to cover yourself with a blanket, bro. Tianhai Kaimingyu pretended not to hear. In addition, the quilt is a bit small to prevent air leakage from the quilt. You and Yuki's sleeping bags are pressed on both sides of the blanket. When Sakakibara Suzu heard this, she almost became anxious. Sister Kyo. It's too much, it's too much. Just sleep together. You want me and Yuki to help you tuck in your bed. But Sister Chan can't deny that this is the only way to do it. Aren't there 3 sleeping bags? It will be warmer if 3 of us sleep together. Sakaki Harasuzu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 506. Take off your clothes quickly. What? Sister Chan is still shy. Snow was falling outside, the cold wind made the tent sway slightly, and the temperature at night was unexpectedly low. We were traveling with 5 people, so in order to save space, we simply bought a larger tent. But judging from the results, this tent is still a bit too small for 5 people to squeeze together, especially when all 5 people are still surrounded by camping lights. This is. Sakaki Harasuzu had never taken off her clothes to sleep in front of everyone, and her face was full of embarrassment. How can anyone take off their clothes in public? Tianhai Chi Minjiao sighed helplessly and said, I'm not asking you to take off your clothes. At home, don't you just wear short shorts and a t-shirt and just lie on the sofa and watch TV? Everyone was there at that time, and I didn't see my sister. What do you have? Special reaction. This. How can this be the same? I took off my clothes at that time, but now I have to take them off in front of you. And you can forget about it, my brother is still here. Sakaki Hara closed his eyes decisively. I don't want to look. That's not possible. Sister Liuli, don't pull on my clothes. It's cold. Okay. Ling took off her clothes and went to bed. Lejun won't look at you. Look, Yuki has already taken off her clothes and put them into her sleeping bag. How come it seems like you are coaxing a child? Isn't Ling my sister? She's a sister, not a child. I think my sister Chan wants to sleep next to my brother instead of sleeping in a sleeping bag. No, Sakaki Harasuzu's face turned red instantly. Ling took off her clothes and took a lot of effort. Because the current temperature is so cold, the biting cold air hit my back almost as soon as I pulled down the zipper. Even after Suzu Sakaki Hara took off her thick coat and got into her sleeping bag, she still felt cold, so he simply put the coat and all on top of her, and then let her press the corners of the quilt. It doesn't matter to Sakaki Hararaku that he takes off his clothes in front of everyone. When he comes out of the shower, he always comes out of the bathroom with his upper body naked, and it can be solved in a few minutes. Several people were almost huddled together, with a Suzu on the far right, followed by Sakaki Bararaku, Kuruori, Nanamajetsu, and Zayuki. Yuki was always the one who fell asleep the fastest. Almost as soon as the lights were turned off, she fell asleep smoothly, and her left corner of the quilt was pressed the most firmly. This should be considered the first time the 5 of them sleep together, right? I didn't expect it to be in a winter tent. As the time progressed towards midnight, Sakakibara could clearly feel that the night wind outside was getting stronger, the tent was shaking, and the pine leaves above his head were also rustling. The cold wind howled, the tent was pitch black, and the quilts squeezed together looked cramped and cramped. Jurulai, who was quite warm next to her, had already fallen asleep. Sakaki Hararaku stretched out his hand and could feel her warm belly flesh through a thin underwear. The night is getting darker. Probably because of the hot coffee he drank in Niigata Prefecture in the afternoon, Sakaki Bararaku hasn't slept much until now. He has been listening to the howling of the wind and snow outside the tent. I didn't expect a ling to be the same. When Raku Sakaki Hara turned over out of boredom, he found that his sister was leaning on her side, her whole head wrapped in a sleeping bag, looking at herself, like a green caterpillar. Suzu's face was very close to Sakaki Bararaku. In addition to smelling the faint aroma of shower gel on her body, he could feel the heat of every breath she took. Still not sleeping? You scared me. What, bro, neither are you. What, can't sleep? Well, I rarely sleep outside, especially when I tuck myself into a sleeping bag. Sakaki Hara knew this was her old problem. Have you still not changed your habit of kicking the quilt? The main reason is that I'm not used to sleeping outside. Suddenly there was silence for a while. Brother. Brother. What? Why don't you sleep between Sister Liulai and Sister Kyo, so you can hold them both at night? I think so about your brother, but your Sister Kyo wants to sleep with Sister Liulai in her arms. Besides, sleeping in a camping place is not just for enjoyment. You can sleep however you want, as long as you don't catch a cold at night. Why didn't you speak suddenly? It was pitch dark inside the tent, and Sakaki Harasuzu's face was blurred in the darkness, with only some outlines. I was thinking, brother, wouldn't it be great if you held your two sisters to sleep? Ask some random questions. Brother, have you decided who to marry first in the future? No. Then why don't you think about it? If we get married together, only Yuki and I will attend the wedding. Rakuten Sakaki Hara was silent on this question. I don't know what Ruri and Kyo think, but as far as Sakaki Hararaku's own thoughts are concerned, it is always better to get people's blessings when getting married than not at all. Have you ever thought about giving Sister Liulai and Sister Kyo a good wedding? Sakaki Harasuzu asked in a low voice, and seemed to be asking seriously. After thinking for a while, Sakakibara replied, I've definitely thought about it, especially since July also likes wedding dresses. Yeah. Me, I quite envy them. What are you envious of? You can marry the person you like. Although marriage has almost become a formality now, for two people who really like each other, the wedding is a very important testimony and life journey. This means that when people grow up, in the future the path we have to take is also very different from the past. Aling's voice was very smooth and smiling, and she didn't have her usual giggle. Sakaki Hararaku felt that she seemed to have grown up a lot in an instant. Brother, what do you mean by looking at me like this? I don't think this is something you can say, Aling. Look down on me. I'm not looking down on you, I just think you've always been a stupid sister. When you held a concert at the Budokan not long ago, you looked like a pretty girl. Sakakibara Suzu's little pout quickly stopped, and she lowered her eyes slightly. I don't like growing up. What I learned the most after becoming a voice actor is that I have to behave in front of my colleagues every day. Coming out of another self. This self can help me get good evaluation from the outside world and praise from my colleagues. I don't like others saying that I am naive, but at the same time I don't like to grow up. There is obviously a deeper meaning in what Aling said. What trouble did you encounter? No way. If you encounter any troubles, just tell me and your brother will help you solve it. Hearing these words, Sakakihara Suzu raised her eyes and looked at him a little longer. There's no trouble. It's just that I'm a little worried. Sakakihara Suzu hesitated. Sakakibara moved his position in the quilt and leaned his head slightly towards her. Just say it completely. Suzu, why are you so secretive when you talk to me? Worry about the future. After our relationship from now on. What's going on? If we were in our 20s, 80s, 19 or more than 30 years old, would we still be like this? What are you worried about? Brother, you must have held a wedding at that time, and then you have children. Then the focus of life will definitely be elsewhere. I don't even know if I can still be where I am now in my 30s. Such feelings. I call you brother. Brother, Lele. Lele, every day. Sakakibara listened to his sister's words very carefully. Looking at her expression when she spoke in the dark, he understood her anxiety at this time. It's very simple. How can this be so simple? This is a very important question, okay. Sakakibara moved his body again, approached Sakakibara Suzu, and looked into her purple eyes. Then let me ask you, Suzu, what did you shout when you were 5 years old? Call brother. What about 7 years old? Brother. Where's 10? Sometimes bro, sometimes Lele. Where's 15? Still brother and Lele. Isn't this right? Since you have called Aling since childhood and have lived together all the time, we will definitely live together in the future, so why can't we continue to call you like this? Am I still your brother? Neither are you. Or my sister. Sakakibara Suzu said quickly, but it's different at the age of 30. You can even be called aunt by children, but you still call you brother. That's why I say you are a stupid girl. Who said you can't shout when you are 30? At 40 or 50, you can call me brother with a smile. If you have nothing to do, you can tease me again. You are old. You are not old, you act like a child in everything you do, and that's how you live happily. An old aunt in her 60s can call a boy of 17 or 18 years old, baby. It sounds weird. From the perspective of others, it's quite strange, but to the person involved, it doesn't matter. Just shout happily. There are so many restrictions on what you can do. But, Ailing, do we have a good relationship? Why do you ask this suddenly? Good or not? Definitely good, better than any brother or sister I have ever seen, Sakakihara Suzu replied without thinking. Sakakibara smiled and reached out to comfort her. That's right. From now on, Suzu, when you are 30, you will still call me brother. If you have nothing to do, come to my room, open the door and come in, yelling brother. I want to eat curry beef today, brother. Do you want to go for a ride together today? I will not respond to you in the same way, Aling. For us, the most important thing is the relationship accumulated over more than 10 years, not each other's age. Ailing, if you are worried, then I can hook up with you again and make a promise like we did when we were little. Although you have experienced so many things, your brother seems to be completely bad, but in this kind of thing, I will never lie to you under any circumstances. Sakakihara Suzu muttered, why do you say that to me, brother? It's so uncomfortable to be caught on both sides. Anyway, from my perspective, brother, you are the one who is most seriously injured. It's a fact that I hurt 2 people. This is in the past, so I won't mention it anymore. Ailing, are you still willing to believe me now? Do not believe. Sakakihara was stunned for a moment. It's weird if you don't believe me. Even if one day you push me into a pit of fire or something, I will always think that you are doing it for my own good. Don't tell me whether I am stupid or not, this is who I am. Sakakihara was relieved and turned his forehead towards her. Yes, this is your character, Suzu. Forehead to forehead, a game I often played with Aling under the covers when I was little. We haven't slept together since we grew up, so we haven't tried it again. Man, it's a little cold in the sleeping bag. I'm just kidding that the sleeping bag is cold. With its thickness, it's warmer than the quilt anyway. Sakakibara knew that Suzu meant something else. How? You know what I mean. You are so old, and you still want your brother to hold you to sleep. Who wants you to hold me to sleep? Just come closer, it's too cold outside, let me keep you warm or something. Damn, this girl. If you want to act like a spoiled child, just say so. Are there not many sisters who act spoiled towards their brothers in this world? Yes, there are some, but few are as old as me. Ailing, you are talking nonsense. At your age, a high school student, there are many younger sisters who like to act coquettishly. Although it is normal for siblings to dislike each other at this age. Come here. Sakakihara Suzu was stunned for a moment. You don't mind. What do you mind? What's there to mind? Come here and sleep. The feeling of being hugged is quite warm. Sakakihara Suzu couldn't even remember how many years ago they had been together like this. When I was a child, we always stayed together. If there were any good comic books or good novels, we would cover them under a quilt and enjoy the novels that we couldn't understand. My brother would still read to me by his side. He would share the food with him, and he would stand up for himself when bullied. In the past, when she happened to see a classmate being bullied and she was alone with no one to help her, she felt that having a brother was an extremely happy thing. Brother? What, you're not sleeping yet? How about you also be my brother in the next life? Ailing, do you want to torture your brother for 2 lifetimes? It's just a joke, don't take it easy. I remember what I told you, Ailing. In my life, it's because of you, Ailing, that I feel at home. You little girl sticks to me every day. As soon as you heard that your brother was missing, or that a classmate made a joke about your brother not wanting you, you kept crying for me, but you have never felt so needed. Isn't this a burden? This is not a burden. Ailing, you can give me considerable strength and sense of responsibility, making me want to protect you. And he said you are not a girl controller. This is called protecting your family. Since you, Ailing, plan to stay with us from now on, we will be a family forever, and I will still protect you. I also said that you won't be able to make any money in the future, so I can protect you, brother. What, you still want to support your brother? Of course. There are not many men who cook so deliciously. If you miss it, you won't meet it. Talking and laughing with Ailing under the quilt, talking about some random topics. Her emotions towards herself are even more reflected in the lines of the dialogue. Sakakihara Raku can fully understand how much Isuzu values him. Brother. What are you doing again? If I am 30 years old and I still want to be hugged by you, and my mother sees me, will I be beaten? Sakakihara laughed. Maybe she will think that we have always had a good relationship. What about being 50, 60, 70, or 80 years old? This is a beautiful thing. Then I'm going to show off to you. There's no warning about acting like a spoiled child. Come on, come on. Elder brother. Yeah, here, don't cry. Brother is here. What's wrong? Suddenly it feels weird to act like a spoiled child like this. It's not bad. Ailing, you are pretty much the same as usual. Beat you. Don't you think it would be warmer if you give me a hug? Almost. Then I won't hug you. Who allowed it? No. Then you should be softer when you call me. Sakakihara Suzu hesitated for a moment and thought about it for a while. Elder brother. Ailing, be good, how about calling me again? Elder brother. You're so good, so good. It's time to go to bed. Brother is coaxing little Ailing to sleep. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 507. When Sakaki Harasuzu woke up the next day, she was in someone's arms. Generally speaking, she rarely felt this warmth in the past. After her consciousness gradually became clearer, she felt a little at a loss about the current situation. Nostalgia, embarrassment and shyness. Being in someone's arms and being held by someone seems to have these emotions. Sakaki Harasuzu was filled with embarrassment. She blushed even more when she thought about how she had called someone brother in a coquettish way last night, clinging to someone like a child. She was usually cheerful and laughing, but she just didn't want this side to be exposed again. What were you doing last night? Why did I do that again last night? Own. Although I have acted coquettishly several times recently, even though the other party has long understood what I am thinking in my heart. Coco. Why is it so annoying? Sakaki Harasuzu rubbed her cheeks vigorously with both hands, thinking that this was probably the contradiction of being a human being. Normally she likes to show off her strength and pretend that nothing matters, but once she really gets emotional, there suddenly appears in the cold night. It's a warm haven where you can act coquettishly and express yourself to your heart's content. You'll fall in there without hesitation. Sakaki Harasuzu stared at Sakaki Raku, who was still sleeping soundly, overlapping the past memories with his face at this time. He still vividly remembers the past experiences of him holding hands with him and taking him out to visit toy stores. Maybe he is just like the strip. 20 years, or even 30 or 40 years later, he smiles and shouts to himself, "Aling, let's go. Go for a ride," and he will be very happy to agree. His back is as tall and reassuring as ever. When she was in someone's arms again and looked at someone's sleeping face, Sakaki Harasuzu had a faint smile on her face. She even took the initiative to put her head in someone's arms for a while. I quietly enjoyed the steady warmth for a while. Afterwards, she took the initiative to push herself up, put on the cotton-padded clothes placed in the corner of the tent, and endured the shivering cold to get out of bed. Stretch, yawn, bend down and unzip the tent. Sakaki Harasuzu's eyes suddenly widened and she realized that the mountains were already covered in snow. The green mountain forest turned white, and the dead branches and leaves on the ground only showed a few sharp corners in the snow. The smell of green grass, soil, and pine trees came to his face with the cold wind. Sakaki Harasuzu was trembling while sniffing. The tip of my nose is still a little sore. Looking back, even the tent was covered with snow. It's only been one night and it snowed so much. It's Christmas after all. The sound of stepping on snow rang in my ears. Sakaki Harasuzu turned around, and a girl with long flaxen hair, a scarf, and a blue jacket suddenly walked up to her. She was holding a cup of steaming hot tea in her hand, and her back was reflected by the mountains and forests in the snow. "Who are you?" The girl sighed helplessly, spitting out thick white mist from her mouth. "After sleeping in my brother's arms for one night, you are so stupid that you can't even tell the difference between me and my sister." With this tone, Sakaki Harasuzu instantly recognized that it was Nanamyu's fox. At the same time, she was still a little embarrassed. She didn't expect that Chi Minjiu heard the conversation last night. Such a shameful conversation. Where is it? What, you want me to show you the video of you talking in your sleep this morning and asking for a hug from your brother? You. Why are you recording the video? Give it to me. No. Give it to me quickly. Just kidding, I have no interest in recording this kind of scene. That's good. Sakaki Harasuzu breathed a sigh of relief. But I do have a recording of Sister Chan acting coquettishly last night. Someone even said several times, "Don't cry, my brother is here." You. Sakakihara Suzu was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it. Fortunately, Tianhai Kaimingyu did not embarrass her, but recognized her emotions. It's good for Sister Chan to have a place to relax. Don't work too much and put all the stress on yourself. Sister Kyo, aren't you angry? Sakakihara Suzu glanced at her secretly. Angry? Why should I be angry? According to common sense, Sister Kyo, you also know what I think in this case. Tianhai Kaimingyu directly interrupted her speech, put her right hand under the other arm, and said flatly, emotions are a very complicated thing, with too many things mixed into it, and your feelings, Sister Chan, are even more so. I might have felt inappropriate in the past, but now I can accept it, sister, and your thoughts and actions are nothing. Can I think that you are looking down on me? Anyway, I was the one who came first. It's not that I don't care about you, Sister Chan, but that you are aware of certain limitations, Sister Chan. The expression of emotions is more inclined to spiritual communication, similar to Yuki. It should be said that Yuki is similar to you under these premises. Why should I be angry? Because Sister Kyo, you are stingy, right? Sakakihara Suzu complained in her heart. Tianhai Kaimingyu closed her eyes and raised the corners of her mouth. I am stingy, but it does not mean that I am ignorant. Sister Chan is just asking her brother to act like a spoiled child. It is a behavior that children would do. Besides, if it were an ordinary Sister Chan, she shouldn't have done it in the first place. Reply to me with I'm asking my brother to act coquettishly, it's none of your business, and then reply with a grimace. Liluoluo. I was looking for my brother last night. It's none of your business. That's right, Tianhai Kaimingyu nodded. Tianhai Yulai, who was cooking hot water next to the tent, looked towards the tent door and shouted, Kyo. Bring the instant noodles. Nanamai nodded in response, and then asked Sakakibara Suzu in front of her, the hot water is boiled, what flavor do you want, Sister Chan? Spicy, Sister Kyo really doesn't care. Amamai Nanamajetsu looked at Sakakibara Suzu for a while. When my Sister Chan said these words, she was bowing to me. Has she already acquiesced in her heart that I am the mistress? Suzu Sakakihara was dissatisfied and immediately frowned. I just want to ask my sister-in-law if you have any special thoughts. That's all. After all, no matter how much I deny it, I can't deny the fact that you are my sister-in-law. And we are still a family. We will still live together in the future. I never thought that my Sister Chan would one day care about other people besides my brother. Sister Kyo speaks human language. I won't care, and my sister won't care either. Is that okay? Sakakihara Suzu suddenly became a little embarrassed. What else do you want to ask, Sister Chan? Tianhai Kaimingyu could tell at a glance. Sakakibara Suzu secretly glanced at the expression of the girl in front of her. Then if I find someone to act like a spoiled brat every day and take up Sister Chu's time, Sister Chu won't be angry, right? 7 bright moons in the sky. Sister Kyo. I suddenly felt that it would be better for my Sister Chan to grow up a little bit more. She should stop acting like a child and learn to push her limits further. Asterisk. Sakakihara Raku didn't expect that it would snow so much on the second day of the trip. Fortunately, the sun was shining brightly in the morning, and the snow on the road was relatively thin. Within an hour or two, the snow melted away and there was no trace left. After packing up their tents and garbage, the group continued heading north. At the end of the winding mountain road, there is a large straight road sandwiched between fields. The cold wind howls and the road is smooth. Occasionally, a few people riding motorcycles would pass by on the other side of the road. They would give thumbs up to the group and honk their horns twice. Raku Sakakibara knew that this was a greeting signal among motorcyclists, so he responded with a hand signal and a horn. Finally, there was a positioning signal when we arrived at the Dai Strait Expressway. Sakakibara followed the original planned route and continued to Niigata City. This is the seaside area, and the sky is blue. The so-called feeling relaxed and happy probably describes the situation, right? Today is December 25th, Christmas. Aling didn't know what she was thinking, or maybe she had a convulsion in her head. After replenishing supplies in the county town, I wanted to create a festive atmosphere and bought a lot of Christmas stickers to put on everyone's cars. The euphemistic name is "This will give you a festive atmosphere." When Sakakibara saw Chi's tough-looking cruising Harley, she was so badly slapped by Suzu. At first glance, passers-by thought the owner of the motorcycle was an uncle with a daughter. Tianhai Kaimingyu looked helpless, pinching her eyebrows and shaking her head. What's even more outrageous is that Aling also bought a Bluetooth speaker and tied it to the trunk of her motorcycle. It was said that Christmas songs should be played all the way, so that it would feel like Christmas. Sakaki Hararaku had to complain that this girl is really big-headed. What is Niigata Prefecture most famous for? Rice. Tenkai Nanamayu nodded, fully agreeing, it is indeed rice. Niigata is also the largest rice producer in Japan. The words just now were answered by Yuki. This answer shocked Sakaki Hara Suzu. Yuki, how do you know? I passed the final history exam. Tianhai's Higsyu's voice was as cold as the snow on the roadside. She is indeed one of the top 5 talented girls in our class. I still remember all this. Sakaki Hararaku suddenly turned into a dead fisheye. Where are you, Suzu? You are 5th from the bottom this semester. Hee, I'm a genius idol girl. I'm going in a different direction. As you said, bro, all roads lead to Rome, there's no need to hold on to academic performance. Career is career, homework is homework. Aling, you are still a high school student. You must do well in college. When you are in 3rd grade, your sister Kioliulai and I will give you tutoring every day. If you dare to take the exam again, you will be 5th from the bottom. Wait for me, I'll find you a wakaizashi, and you'll commit suicide by committing seppuku. No. At noon, we had dinner at a yakiniku restaurant called Ikago-ya in the city. Niigata Prefecture was originally part of Ikago Kingdom, so there is a lot of history and culture here. Others may come just to have a meal and watch the show and then leave, but the July Encyclopedia is here. While eating, I could also listen to her talk about the history of Ikago Kingdom, the Ikago Rebellion, and the confrontation between Takeda Shinjin and Yosuji Kenshin. Legend has it that during this battle, Yosuji Kenshin, with his head wrapped in white silk, rode into the Takeda barracks alone on horseback, and slashed Takeda Shinjin, who was sitting in command, with a sword. Shinjin was unable to resist and was so frightened that he fled in panic. This battle was called the Dragon Tiger fight by many later generations. July is really good at telling history, and the details and narrative are quite three-dimensional. Both Aling and Yuki were envious of how Chi knew so much. Sakakibara Raku's evaluation is that the rice at Ikago-ya is indeed delicious. After lunch, the group took a motorcycle stroll around the city, visiting several famous sites such as the Civic Square, Bandai Bookstore, and Rainbow Tower, and took group photos. The snow scenery in Niigata Prefecture is unparalleled. I don't know if the city government did this intentionally, but Sakaki Hara felt that they were showing off the snow scene in the city. Not much to say about the city. What's even more beautiful are the Myoko Mountains and Tsunan Plateau that are right next to the city. Looking up from afar, the snow-covered mountains are rolling, and the snow-capped peaks are shining in the sun. It must be super refreshing to ride on the road under that mountain range and feel the wind and freedom. Brother, don't you know? What? Snow country is set in Yuzawa town here. You can ski in the surrounding area, and there are also hot springs. I see. Niigata Prefecture is rich in rice. Naturally, the rice-based sake here is also particularly famous. Basically, you can see a sake shop selling sake every distance. On the way, when Kyo and Ruri went to the toilet, Sakakihara Suzu whispered. Brother, do you want to buy some sake before we go? What are you doing? Sakakihara Raku felt that Suzu had evil intentions. Brother, look, Sister Liulai and Sister Kyo have never drank, right? Their ability to drink must be very poor. Brother, buy a few bottles and get them drunk, haha, should they just let you handle them, brother? Where did you come up with this kidnapping technique, little brother? I'm not that shameless. Really? Brother, don't you want to see the two sisters who are all tied with gift ribbons? How cute. Sakakibara quickly waved her away. Go, go, I don't know what's going on in my head. This is called play. It's very fun. What kind of play do you learn? Some weird things, etc. Sakakihara stared at her, as if he suddenly discovered something. Aling, did you secretly go to a booth you shouldn't go to at exhibition C last time? Bought a comic that I shouldn't have read. Sakakihara Suzu immediately put her hands behind her back, puffed up her face, evaded her eyes, and leaned against her BMW Mizutori. I don't have one. That's where you learned the ribbon you tied for me last time, right? No. No. No, just no. Well, Sakakihara was sure that she had indeed seen something she shouldn't have seen. I'll search it out for you when I get home. I know you hid a cardboard box under the bed. What? No, no. What's wrong? Your brother is also here and won't say anything about you. Sakakihara Suzu's face suddenly turned red and she was furious. If you can't do it, you can't do it? Are you shy? No. But you absolutely, 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 absolutely cannot watch it. Ailing, when you say that, I want to see it even more. Beat you. I'll beat you to death. Don't look at it. I told you, girl, be gentle. It's neither too light nor too heavy.